Monday Night Wars, WCW Nitro versus WWF Raw, October 30th and November 6th, 1995. This is Getting Some Color. I'm Joe Dubs.
I'm Zach.
And we are back in 1995 land, back to the Monday Night Wars, and always starts off with WCW Nitro. We are with Eric Bischoff, Uncle Eric, Steve McMichael, Pepe, and Bobby Heenan. On the history of WWE.com, 3,500 fans attended the show with 2,500 paying for entries. So there was like 1,000 tickets that were probably free to fill up the arena or something like that. Bischoff says that Randy Savage will not face Sergeant Craig Pittman tonight because he was hurt at Halloween Havoc. And Eddie Guerrero will replace him. And I was like, holy shit, that's kind of cool. Savage was dealing with a legitimate detached tricep injury. So the beating at Halloween Havoc was a convenient way to write him out for the time being, as I researched. So we got Eddie Guerrero versus Sergeant Craig Pittman. It's such a weird, like again, we're not watching WCW Saturday Night or any other WCW stuff. So like Craig Pittman just comes out of nowhere. I mean, we've seen him before, right?
We've seen him a couple times, yeah.
But it's like such an odd thing to be like, we're gonna put him with Macho Man, unless Macho Man is like, I'll just wrestle anybody, brother. You know?
Probably. Mm-hmm. That's probably what he was doing.
Yeah. So let's take it away. Let's go to the play-by-play with Eddie Guerrero versus Pittman.
Yeah, so this one didn't go too long, so there's not a lot. Like, Pittman was like showing off all his amateur throws and stuff until like Eddie like muscled him up and did like a T-bone suplex, which was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then they pretty much exchanged throws and blows for a while until Pittman starts focusing on Eddie's arm because he's got the code red. Did he order the code red? The arm bar. That's his finisher. And then there's like a couple awkward blown spots between the two of them. Like, I think it's because Pittman, because he still seems like he's like green to me. I don't know, or he's just awkward or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was this part where Pittman did a schoolboy to Eddie Guerrero, like out of the corner. And then, like, for some reason, he didn't hold him in a pin. He just did the schoolboy maneuver and, like, crouched and looked at him for a minute menacingly. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, why would anybody do that?
It kind of reminds me of, like, Street Fighter when you, like, roll away from your enemy.
Yeah, except he made him roll away from him and then looked at him. Like, what the fuck? Like, if he would have followed it up with a move, like if he just charged him and like hit him with a knee or some shit, that would have made more sense. But he just looked at him. Some of his strikes look kind of dodgy too. I noticed, like especially if he tries to kick somebody, it looks terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He also almost fucking threw his own ass out of the ring doing a gut-wrench suplex somehow.
Yeah, so
he lost his balance and ran across the ring. And then like Eddie started doing a comeback. Like he did a drop. See, he did a drop toe hold here, but Pittman sold it weird. Like he got drop kicked. It's like he didn't know, I guess, what Eddie was going to do, and he thought he was getting drop kicked.
Yeah,
it was odd. But Eddie hits a little more offense, and then he does like a inverted roll-up thing for 3. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like the dude like does a flip and catches your legs and pins you.
It was almost like a victory roll.
Yeah, it's like the inverted victory roll.
Mm-hmm. It like popped fucking Uncle Eric. He was like, whoa.
Whoa! He's really impressed by his cruiserweight shit.
Mm-hmm.
If this match wasn't against Eddie, it probably would have ended up being bad.
Yeah, Eddie carried this whole fucking match.
But I still thought it was like okay. Like I didn't hate it or anything. I was just like, ugh. If he didn't, if there weren't so many fuck ups, it might have been better.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it like a 5.7 though.
I gave it a 5.5 out of 10.
Eddie Curve.
Eddie Curve. Now, remember when we were like, why are we seeing Scott Norton and the Shark like fighting in the locker room randomly?
Yeah.
Well, apparently there was like a costing of the match or whatever. The Shark like cost Scott Norton, and Scott Norton got pissed off and like fought the Shark inside that locker room, and then it got sanctioned to be a match. And I'm just like, I listen. I love who's it? I keep on forgetting his name because I always mix him up. But who's the Shark again?
It's Earthquake.
Yeah, Earthquake. I like him, and I like Scott Norton. We praised Scott Norton in the early '94 days. When we saw him, we were like, "Holy shit, he's pretty fucking explosive and awesome and stuff." Um, but this feud, I don't understand. Besides, like them like shoehorning that fucking brawl in the locker room.
I don't even think this is a feud. This is just them trying to make a match. And it's like they did it too late. That's the thing. Because they're like, they've had issues since September. So like we're at the end of October and they're talking about some shit that happened in like the second week of September or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're gonna finally get this match we've been waiting on since September between the Shark and Scott Norton.
Oh, I have in my notes, and I think this is probably why they did this. Because during the match, they were like, "Where's Bobby Heenan? Where did he go?" And I forgot what fucking Mongo said, but it was like so funny or whatever. I forgot to like write it down. I was too busy laughing and shit.
He was eating sushi up in the stands with like this Japanese guy.
Yeah, apparently it's Sonny Ono. He's part of New Japan, and this is like the seeds of WCW versus New Japan feud brewing before we get that, which is kind of. Listen, we talk about AEW and how Tony Khan like jizzes for like New Japan. I think Uncle Eric jizzes in a different way, not to the point where like he compromises his promotion to fit New Japan, but he's like doing it in a way to help out both promotions to show off. And we know that like New Japan was a thing because remember when Barry Windham versus Muda?
Mm-hmm.
Remember they fought and were like, ooh, that was kind of like we loved them both, but they were just obviously protecting Muda.
Yeah, they didn't want to make him look weak or something.
Mm-hmm. So I'm like kind of interested to see how this goes, but I just think it's funny that like Bobby Heenan is like the guy that they're talking to, and I love that Bobby Heenan doesn't like sushi. He like eats it.
It's funny because he was hyping it up before, like he was making some kind of comments before this happened.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm going to hang out with my Japanese associates and we're going to eat sushi. It's going to be incredible. And then like it showed him up there eating it and he was like throwing it aside, faking eating it and stuff.
Mm-hmm. it like broke fucking Eric Bischoff. I don't know if you noticed. He like laughed when he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like 4 women behind them. Like 2 of them look like women who have like jobs, like they look professional, and the other 2 are like eye candy.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of them's like massaging Bobby and stuff as he's like eating. It's just great.
And I love that he gets like a envelope, which I'm guessing is money.
Like, thank you. He like says he like puts it in his little jacket and pats it.
Yeah, and that's literally it's so sad. Listen, I know we like I at least were like, why is this a fucking feud? Why are we seeing this match? But I love that the Bobby Heenan thing was a part of it. Because wasn't it?
what they did wasn't even that good, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much to say about it. Like, I talked more about like what happened in my notes, like what happened with that little brief interlude there with Bobby and Sonny Ono than like the match itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's just two behemoths clubbering each other, and it goes okay. And then they transition into that shot. And then like we come back, and then both guys are on the floor, and they're fighting, and they just get counted out.
Mm-hmm.
And then they take turns ramming each other into like the WCW sign up on the stage.
It was so lame when they were doing that because they were just like, "Oh my god!" and like they were like the announcers were trying to sell it.
That's
Like
steel. And then it's like you didn't hear shit. There was no noise. Like they didn't mic it or anything.
they should have mic'd it. If we heard that ding and stuff, I'd be like, "Oh, that's cool."
And then like the other thing was neither guy sold it really. It's like
Scott Norton didn't sell it. He got hit in the head and he like walked, and I was like, "Okay."
Scott Norton no sells everything.
Did you rate this match?
I did, but like it's fine if you didn't, because I totally understand why. Because I couldn't figure out if I was going to rate it or not either, and I did.
I didn't rate it because I thought it was like a showcase of New Japan, essentially, and like and the match was just background.
It basically was. It's kind of like those matches Vince does on his programming, where like he puts a squash match in, and then like he calls somebody on the phone.
Yeah, like soon when we hear HBK talking to fucking Vince and shit.
Yeah, this is different though.
Yeah,
I gave this a 4.8, but it's like whatever. It's because it didn't totally suck or anything. It's like a match started, it wasn't going good, and then it stopped. It's like, okay.
All right, the fucking Three Horsemen with Tony Schiavone.
They're looking for their fourth.
Yeah, is that gonna be fucking redacted?
It's gonna be redacted. It's gonna be Chris Benoit.
Yeah,
he's the fourth horseman in this iteration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're in the ring and they're just talking about what happened at Halloween Havoc. And like it's funny, Tony does this thing where he like weirdly credits WCW magazine for these pictures he's gonna show us. And I'm like, oh, has he got like fucking photos or some shit from like backstage? Because he doesn't tell us what this is, like what we're getting ready to see.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's just like stills from the pay-per-view telecast, like screenshots. And I'm like, what the? Why did you credit WCW magazine for this? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Pictures.
Well, what I like about throughout the show, and I understand why they did it, because they want people to be like to wait for the so-called footage that they had to wait for. I guess it was being delivered by fucking Crow or whatever, like a bird or something. Because throughout the whole show, like Eric Bischoff is like, "We're waiting on the footage for the Giant and Hulk Hogan." I'm just like, but you guys taped it, like. But I understood what they were doing. They're like suspending the fans to see it, even though like the ones that can't afford pay-per-view to see what happened.
That was another thing too. Is like they were talking about, this footage we're going to show you. It's exclusive footage, and they didn't make it seem like it was just footage from the previous night's show. Exactly, like literally like a replay. They made it seem like it was something else.
Mm.
And then, I mean, spoilers, it's not. It's just like the last couple minutes of the show. And I got kind of like annoyed by that, but whatever.
I do want to point out that Arn Anderson puts over Sting for lasting 10 minutes. And I was like, what a Chad.
Yeah, you got to put him over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they all take turns cutting a little promo real quick. Each one of them does. It's pretty good. I mean, nothing of real substance is said here. It's just each of them being like, we're back and we're going to get a fourth guy, and we whipped your ass, Sting, but you lasted long. And Flair making fun of him.
And Pillman like reenacting Sting trying to tag Ric Flair from Halloween Havoc.
What was really funny about this, though, was like while this whole promo was going on, like Tony looked like he was getting annoyed with Flair and Pillman, like doing shit, moving around in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Like Flair started doing that shit where he was like bouncing off the ropes and like he was going to do a knee drop or an elbow drop or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like Brian was like crawling around on the ground and like making fun of Sting, and he was like doing it in front of Tony. And he's like, this is like while Arn's doing his promo. And then Flair just ends it by like, we're back! And if you don't like it, learn to love it! It's like one of his favorite lines to say if he doesn't know what to say.
Yeah. And that's the promo, literally. It's just like they're pumping up the Four Horsemen next week. Which I'm excited for.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I like all these guys, so
yeah.
I like Chris Benoit as a wrestler.
Yeah. I like him as a wrestler, not as a person, obviously.
Yeah.
And he's also my uncle that went overseas for, war. No, I'm kidding.
Veteran awareness.
Yeah. Bishop tells about next Monday night. They'll be interactive as fans can vote for a heel and babyface to collide in the main event with Sting and Flair as choices, where I'm like, we'll get to this. I have some thoughts about this that I'm just like, did WCW scam its fans? We'll see.
It's one of two things. It's either they did it legitimately, but they stacked what people were going to vote for,
Mm-hmm.
just like WWE used to do on those like Taboo Tuesday and those interactive shits. Because some of those were legit, some of those were, and then I think they stopped doing it like legit because like something crazy happened one time that they didn't want to do and they did it. I can't remember the story exactly.
Sabu versus Disco Inferno.
Yeah, I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah,
I don't know about this.
I gotta admit, I gotta like throw some flowers. Like, Disco did some like kind of cool shit here and there, and it seemed like it fucking confused the shit out of Sabu. Whereas, like, I thought I bet you the amount of money like he thought he was like Disco was gonna job for fucking Sabu, and it just didn't happen. Because there was time I was like, hey, that's a pretty cool drop kick, and I was like, oh, that's a good fucking suplex and shit. Like, he does things cool. Like, his clothesline's pretty legit, in my opinion.
You got a decent clothesline.
Mm-hmm. We didn't see the stunner yet, which I think is later on, I think, right?
Yeah, because like so far he's not beaten anybody with like a move.
Mm.
He's mostly losing. This ended up being kind of lame, but nothing bad.
Yeah.
It's like this time, like Sabu hit all of his moves in the match.
He didn't do the chair jumping thing, which I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, mostly stayed in the ring this time. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of the reason why. It was like Sabu hit all his shit in the match. But I'm putting emphasis on in because of what happens after. But Disco, he's like kind of mad at me right now. Like a lot of his strikes don't look that good, I think, except the clothesline. I'll give him that. And like his punches and his shit just look kind of fucking odd. Like they look fake. It's like when he's hitting a guy over the back, he goes, like his arm bounces off of his back or some shit, like it's rubber.
Does his hair never sweat?
No, it's all like hairspray.
Okay.
It's like it turns into a rock.
Yeah.
His psychology is kind of weird too. He did this.
Yeah.
I noticed this. Like he got Sabu hung up on the rope by his throat. You know when guys do that shit where they put the guy's head into the rope and they're like pushing their neck into the rope and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, normally, what guys, they either just let up or something, or they do this thing where they like grab the rope and yank it back real quick. So it's like the cable's like forced into their throat and they fly backwards and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Disco did the choking thing, and then he slowly ran across the ring and back, and then did the slingshot thing to his throat. And I'm like, what was the point of that? Like, what the fuck? It looked like a video game thing or something where like somebody fucked up and they didn't know what to do. And the finish was like Sabu did his slingshot leg drop from the apron and he pinned him for 3.
Mm-hmm.
I gave this 5.2.
I gave it a 5.3 out of 10. Disco curve. So I want to bring this up because at the end, like, this is when Sabu's like, I'm ECW, bruh, brain rot. And like, hey, gets a table. I will admit, I laughed when he threw the table at fucking Disco. And I'm just like,
it's always funny when somebody throws a chair. Like, that's something he'd do a lot, was throw a chair at somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes that noise or some shit and it just flies off of him.
It also reminds me of like the old school SmackDown video games where you get to throw shit at people, and obviously the 2K24 you were able to like throw objects at people.
Pretty soon you'll be able to take people's souls in the ring.
Yep. But this was funny because like Sabu like punches Disco in the face and then lays him on the table, and I was like, oh, fucking Disco's gonna like leave. And he did, and Sabu like back hit the fucking table, and I think he legit got angry.
I don't know what was supposed to happen there.
Yeah,
this is like the chair thing on AEW, all like right now. It's like the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
But like the ending, the post match shit was like terrible. Other than him throwing the table at him, because it's like, yeah, Sabu's thing right now is when he finishes a match, it doesn't matter if he wins or loses, he attacks the guy after it's over.
Yeah.
You can't do that all the fucking time because it gets old. But that's what he does because he has no damn psychology. I'll say it. But
yeah, even when I play like WWE games, like when you do the breakout thing after you win, it does get boring when you just like slam somebody with a chair 1,000 times.
It's not shocking when you see like, oh, he attacked him after it was over. Like that gets old.
Mm-hmm.
But he did this thing. He tried to do like that somersault senton thing. After the match was over, Disco's like, is my hair okay? He does that, and then he hit it so weird, he like bounced off of Disco, and it looked like he powerbombed himself out on the floor. That's what it fucking looked like. And then, yeah, he goes, he gets that table, does all that shit happens. The funny thing was about that whole failure of like the table didn't even break. Like they could have fucking gimmicked the table to break at least. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he grabbed the wrong table. It was one of those deals.
Yeah, because he looked legit angry, like, and hurt at the same time.
Maybe Disco just said, I'm not fucking taking this, and he rolled off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't blame him because that shit's still, like, insane. Like, nobody else is doing that. It's just ECW shit or, like, insane shit in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing about this is, like, it made Sabu look like a dumbass. Like, he set up this spot, and he fucking, like, missed.
It's like you won the match. Like, again, like you said, if you keep on beating people up after your match, it's not special. And it just makes you an ECW fucking brain rot douchebag. And that's what he is, a brain rot douchebag. I've never been a fan of Sabu. Like, people mark out for him and stuff, and I'm just like, ugh. He does the same thing over and over again.
I used to like him, but the only time I liked him, this is gonna sound like blasphemous, is like when he was in WWE. That was it. And I don't know, maybe it was because they produced him a lot more and told him, like, don't do all this insane shit, just do your shit, and then make sure you actually hit it.
Yeah.
like they coached him or something. I don't know. But like, I just got a question like all this. Like, if you're trying to get this guy over and make him put the guy through the table, like, was this supposed to happen? If this was supposed to happen this way, it's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Like, what? It just makes him look like an idiot. Like, but whatever. It's
moving on to the next match. We have Meng and Lex Luger with Jimmy Hart and the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan versus the American Males.
American males.
Yeah.
So, like, just a couple weeks ago, Ming and Lex Luger were beating the shit out of each other. Fucking teammates.
Yep.
Of course, in Ming's defense, they did make it seem like he didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was last week. My bad. Well, no, they had a match before that too. I forgot. They had a match before Halloween Havoc, and then they had the match at Halloween Havoc. So, but yeah, both times it was like, what? What are you doing? So Ming gets an out. He's a Dungeon and Doom associate. He's not in it.
Yep. He's just an affiliate.
He's just there to fucking beat people up.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about this before, but I gotta say it again now that we've actually like see them come out and do their shit, like their entrance and what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
The American males shit is just so dated. It's like a decade too late, literally.
It's so gay.
It's kind of gay right now. See, in that time period, people would call that gay.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. They probably did.
And they were faces. They're booked as faces right now.
That's literally the kind of shit that gimmick is like the Fantastics, which is, do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
They were like a tag team in like the early to mid 80s, and it was like Stan Lane, and I can't remember who the other guy was. Maybe it was
I think you mentioned this last time we talked about the American males, I think
it was Bobby Fulton. Yeah, their whole deal was they wore like these suspenders and they were like fucking, jacked kind of. Bobby Fulton was jacked. But it's like the same kind of presentation. It's just this is like 10 years later.
It's like Brazongo and the whole fashion police type of thing in a way.
Sort of. Yeah. This is different because like I think this specifically is meant to target like female fans.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that's going to work as well as it did. Like in the 80s. The match starts with Ming in there and they go to break like immediately. It's like, okay. And then we come back and like Luger's got Riggs in there and he's getting heat on him until like Riggs starts doing a comeback and he like somebody fucked up a backdrop. I don't know what happened. It's like Lex like spun out sideways instead of like going in the air. It was weird. And then Luger like stops him with like an assist with Ming, where like Ming bear hugs him. Like he gets tired of Lex getting beat up, and he just gets in there and puts him in a bear hug so Luger can clothesline him.
That was cool though. I like that setup.
Yeah, I thought I was like, are they going to do a heart attack? And it was like not exactly a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
It was something like that. And then Ming gets in and he starts doing martial arts chops. And I say martial arts because he does this stance and he goes, what the? Like fucking like doing that shit. But like he body slams him too. He's still beating up Riggs right now.
Mm-hmm.
Ming hits the ropes and he does what would have been like this sick looking flipping senton. Because he got like this angle where it looks like if he fucked up, he would land on his head.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And then he missed though. He didn't land on his head. Ming tags Luger back in. He cuts Riggs off again from a hot tag. He like back suplexed him. Tried to. But Riggs landed on his feet and he crawled beneath Luger and he hot tags Bagwell. Marcus Alexander Bagwell, 1992 WCW Magazine Rookie of the Year, comes in and he does like clotheslines and punches. His backdrop, drop kick. It's like he does a good comeback when he's in a tag team.
Yeah, he like threw around Lex. It was kind of like impressive in a way.
Yeah, I mean he's a fairly big guy too. Luger's bigger than he is, but
Yeah,
they have
he's
this.
right. He's riding the roids at this time, I think.
They have a similar build. It's just he's a few inches shorter than him.
Mm.
Uh, and then like Ming comes in the ring and like I don't know what was going on. He like savate kicked Riggs like he was on the fucking apron or some shit, just minding his own business. And then like he turns around and he hits Bagwell in the head. He roundhouse kicked him in the back of the head, and that like killed his comeback. And then like Luger gets Bagwell in the torture rack and he taps out.
Yeah, I love that part where like Mang kicks Marcus Alexander Bagwell, and then Bobby Heenan says, "I smell a victory."
That, yeah.
Yeah, and then the torture rack happens. Jimmy Hart's all in black, by the way, and he's like laughing like Joker. It's kind of weird.
He's evil now.
Yeah. I'll be right back. I gotta something with my dog. I'll be right back.
Sure. Well, I gave that match a 5.9. I thought it was all right for what it was. And after that, we go back to the commentary desk, and they're like talking about the stuff that's happened over the show. They kind of do this sometimes on Nitro where they just recap what has already been going on just a little bit. Not to an annoying degree. They just talk about it for a few seconds. But Mongo sprays Heenan in the face with some silly string and says trick or treat. And like Bobby is like coughing and trying to get all this crap off of him that he sprayed on him. I thought it was funny. And then they pitch to the footage. Finally, the footage they've been hyping up this whole time. And it's actually just recapping what happened at the end of the pay-per-view like I was talking about earlier. I'm like, fucking really? Because the way Eric was talking about it through the show was like this was something else, and he called it exclusive footage and shit and all this other stuff, and it's just a snip of a replay. It's kind of all it was. It just showed the Giant and like the end of the Hogan match, basically, like what happened there. After that disappointment, we come back, and then part of the Dungeon of Doom's out there in the ring. The Giant, Taskmaster, Lex, and Jimmy Hart are out there with Tony Schiavone.
By the way, I gave that match a 5.7 out of 10.
Okay. Main curve.
Yep. Actually, I'm a Lex mark now, so that's a Lex curve.
We've said this is a Lex Luger appreciation podcast.
Yep.
Oh, what'd you think? Oh, what?
He was doing a lot of
He was doing his off. Oh, shit. What'd you think of Mongo's prank on Heenan?
What was that one again?
Yeah, it's like right after that match, they went to the desk, and then
with the spray.
He hit him with the silly string stuff, and then Bobby was like selling it basically. He's like, oh.
I think it was like I think it was like half sell and half like, what the fuck?
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, it was cool.
But yeah, I'm talking about the Dungeon of Doom segment at the end where like Jimmy says everyone wants to know why he betrayed Hogan, and he says you can find out in his new book or tune into Nitro next week to hear it.
I laughed.
I was like, oh, what a dick. He's not going to tell anybody. And then he reminds everyone that Kevin Sullivan has only had one manager in his whole career, and it was Jimmy Hart. Whoa.
Is that true?
I don't know. I didn't look it up, actually. He said the evil... this shit was funny. The evil that was in Hogan's house was Jimmy Hart. The evil in his house.
It was me, baby. It was me all along.
It's the Mickey Mouse of wrestling.
Yep.
And then Lex is up next, and he flubs a line immediately after. He was like, the last time Lex talked, he didn't flub any lines. And he goes, Savage was laying in a pathetic heap, and Hogan was laying in a pathetic heat. He said heat. I'm like, fuck. And he says they were like garbage or some shit. Then he's like got the mic off of him pretty quickly. Yeah, he said something about Hogan was calling him a little dog and a vulture, but he found out the total package was all what he was all about. And he says there's like a pause where Gene's like, or like Shivani's gonna give the Giant the mic. He's like, it's about the belt. He had to get that last thing in.
Yeah.
Or actually, his Taskmaster's turned down. He doesn't say that much. Like he says a little bit, but he does do this thing that made me laugh out loud. Where he fell to the mat and he was making fun of Hogan selling. When Hogan takes some big move, like a power bomb or like he gets choke slammed or some shit, he always does the taser sell. You notice that?
Yeah.
He was doing that. I started laughing. And then Giant says he's going to defend his belt next Monday and he's never giving it up. And it just ends with Jimmy Hart doing laps around the ring.
Dude, I laughed so hard when he did that. I was like, what is he doing?
He's just getting heat. And then, like, the end of this was just fucking ridiculous. Jimmy Hart's doing laps around the ring. Kevin Sullivan's doing his taser sell again that Hogan does. And the Giant's doing his Captain Insano laugh while Lex Luger is flexing. Like, all that's happening at the same time.
It's so 90s, man. It's so fucking 90s. I love it.
And Tony Schiavone is just standing there like, what the fuck is going on?
Dude, it gets fucking wild next episode.
It does.
What'd you give this show? Because it was still entertaining, even though it was kind of a mid show in a way.
It was a pretty mid show. I gave it a 5.3. I didn't think any of the matches were like that special or interesting this week.
Mm-hmm.
We got a decent promo segment from the Horsemen, and the Dungeon of Doom segment was entertaining because of how ridiculous it was.
Yeah.
And I liked Bobby Heenan's thing with Sonny Ono. But none of that has anything to do with any matches.
I also gave it a 5.3 out of 10. I wrote down as like, even though the matches weren't the greatest, I still had a good time. And it was like weird. Essentially, it was just like, because usually when we watch Raw, we're like, man, there was too many promos compared to like actual matches that were going on. And this one, like, yeah, there were promos, but they were fucking hilarious. Like, they were all like coked up. They have to be coked up.
I guess somebody is.
Yeah.
What's up with Eric Bischoff that whole night? He was like calling the heels pond scum, human waste, and like fucking garbage and shit.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing like all these ad hominem attacks to all the heels.
I think he was just selling the whole like heel turn of Jimmy Hart and Lex and all that stuff.
It's not very professional.
Yeah, and Bobby Heenan points it out.
He did. That's true. It's not like when JR calls that Jezebel or that son of a bitch. Because usually when he calls somebody son of a bitch, it's because they really deserve it.
Or it's personal, right? Like,
or it's personal, like when Triple H broke his arm.
Mm-hmm.
Or Kane when he set him on fire.
Yep. It's wild to think like Vince McMahon died in a fucking like a bus bombing and lived.
But JR gets like set on fire, attacked with sledgehammer, fucking Mankind chokes him out. Like all this other ridiculous shit just happens to him.
Mm-hmm.
The rating for this Nitro was a 2.3, the TV rating. So it's okay, I think. That's a decent rating.
That's a 2010, 2014 Raw rating, essentially.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing when you look back at this stuff, because see, there's two different wrestling companies on two different channels, and you're getting like twos right now. But it gets to a point where they're getting like fours.
Mm-hmm.
And so the estimated, because this is something I don't think a lot of people get about like when they see the ratings and stuff. They think, oh, well, that's 2.3 million people in America that watch wrestling. No, that's 2.3 million people in America that watch wrestling that had the Nielsen box.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a sample. It's supposed to be like, this is a sample of the audience that we have that has our box. It doesn't represent the entire wrestling audience in America.
Yeah, and I think a lot of like, especially during the modern times, like people don't understand. Like people are streaming illegally too.
A lot of people are doing that.
Yeah, and also the network and stuff, because a lot of people watch like the reruns because it's easier to fast forward through all the bullshit compared to seeing it live.
Yeah. I've been doing this thing lately where, like, since everything's streaming on apps and stuff, or like you have YouTube TV or something,
Mm-hmm.
I usually wait half an hour before I actually start watching the show because it gives me a buffer where, like, if something's happening where, like, I don't care about it or it's boring, I can fast forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm kind of watching it night of, but I have like a rewind, a fast forward buffering zone I could use to help me get through some shit.
Yeah, I used to do that like an hour, um, and just be like, I don't like this match, and then fast forward.
Yep.
All right. WWF Raw, October 30th, 1995.
Oh boy.
We are in Keystone Center, Brandon, Manitoba.
You're still in Canada.
Yeah. And the commentators are Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler, which is funny. Vince McMahon is dressed as a convict, even though his allegations got dropped. It's kind of fucking funny foreshadowing of seeing him in a prison outfit. And Jerry King Lawler as a surgeon, which I guess maybe kind of if I'm gonna like do like foreshadowing his heart attack, essentially.
They do this like Vince is dressed up like a stereotypical prisoner. It's literally just like the striped outfit with like the hat.
Yeah.
But they did this funny. I don't know what the deal is with this episode, but there was a lot of inside baseball fucking jokes on the commentary in this episode of Raw. But like Lawler says, like when they're doing this, he's like, "You got this outfit a year ago, and now you just started to wear it." He's talking about him in the steroid trial and shit. And then like he pulls out his stethoscope and he checks his heart. He's like, "Let me check." Just as I thought, heartless. He starts laughing after. He's like, because he's a promoter.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? This is kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they did this real cheesy ass intro with Todd Pettigrew, like before we got to the show proper, where he's doing like a lame ass Bela Lugosi impression, recapping like what happened on last week's Raw.
Yep.
It was bad. Oh my god. Yeah.
But first match, Savio Vega versus Goldust.
So this is not the Savio Vega match I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Because I made reference to that. I was like, Goldust has this match with Savio Vega where everybody was like, oh, whoa, okay. It wasn't this one.
No. It's still trying to get used to Goldust, kind of.
I think he needs some better gear. Like, I think we both agree on that because it's like the bodysuit thing is like not good. And his gloves are giving him problems, I notice.
Mm.
You notice every time he was doing something in that match, and he did it on the pay-per-view too and in your house, he would like do something, and if he was standing up, he would adjust his gloves.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he's got to get better gloves or some shit. But it's the Caribbean legend versus the Hollywood legend, as Vince puts it. And after a long entrance, Goldust jump starts it, and he mostly brawls with Savio. He gets only a few hits before Goldust takes back over. And we go to commercial, and we come back, and Goldust has Savio in like an arm lock, and he keeps control for a bit till Savio comes back, and he does some punches and a clothesline and a crossbody. And I noticed the crowd really likes Savio Vega in this match.
I think people are just weirded out because this is the 90s, so like transgenderism is not like big in any way, or cross-dressing. So like seeing a dude in like this being all feminine, or as fucking Vince says in the match, a masculine RuPaul.
He says that and he keeps saying bizarre,
Yeah.
which is like the euphemism he chose to represent gay, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess it's like what it is. But yeah, there might be an element of that too. I mean, like he's made a good heel right now. I guess people don't like Goldust, but then we see people do like Goldust. It's weird.
I can't wait till fucking Piper comes. That's what I'm waiting for.
Have you seen the people out in the crowd that dress up like Goldust?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if those guys are plants or not, but that's kind of fun to me. It's interesting. I kind of hope they aren't. Because it's like, so it depends on how aggressively anti-homosexual you are in that time, I guess. Because it's kind of like the big thing with that gimmick. But if you can look past it and you realize this is just like a dude who's being a wrestler, and you see what he's doing, he's got this weird character with his face paint. He's quoting all these movies and shit. He's like kind of talks good. It's like, this guy's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's not to the weird of Attitude Era Goldust, where
it's not there yet.
Yeah, that was weird. Like I remember fondly, not fondly. That's a poor choice of word. I remember vigorously. Fucking Val Venus versus Goldust, and I just fucking hated that feud so much.
Ooh, I don't remember that. I must have memory hold it. I just remember like they were doing that weird shit where he was like the artist formerly known as Goldust. He was coming out in like all these weird fucking outfits and everything,
lingerie and all that.
I hated that so much. Anyway, though. Savio hits a spinning wheel kick, or he goes for it, I should say, and he misses. And then Goldust like puts him in a hammer lock and kind of stacks him up and rolls him over for a pin, and he pins him after that. Because he was working his arm the whole time, he missed, and he fucking crashed and burned. So I was like, oh, okay. I didn't expect that, but all right. I gave it a 5.6.
I gave it a 5.5. It was okay.
I
wasn't impressed, but this is like the build up of Goldust until we, like I said, when we get to Roddy Piper and fucking Goldust at WrestleMania, that fucking car scene, I can't wait.
I think he starts hitting his stride more like either next month or January of '96. And then somehow he gets in his groove around that time. Vince pitches us to Doc Hendricks, who's supposed to be a jack-o'-lantern, I guess, with this face paint he's got on.
It looks so weird.
But he had fangs, too, like he was a fucking vampire. It was, like, weird. It was like he was crossing the streams with, like, his gimmick. And he's in that weird room again that's got that painting of himself and shit in the studio. And he lets us know that Bret Hart versus Diesel at Survivor Series is going to be no DQ, no countouts, no time limit.
Dude, I mean, we're going to get to it, but I fucking love that Cornette and British Bulldog are like fucking playing into, but like, why the fuck is Bret Hart getting a fucking title match with Diesel? Because I'm also being like, why?
Because he was supposed to. Well, he was supposed to get a title match with whoever won that match at In Your House. But
that Bulldog won.
That gets into the segment later.
Yeah.
Also, like Vince is interrupting him during this. He's like, something's going on in the back. Ah! And you see like 4 seconds of like Razor Ramon yelling at 1-2-3 Kid backstage.
Yeah, he says, we can't do this right now. And I'm like, what?
Can't do what? Commercial. Yeah. Fuck. Then we get a vignette of Hakushi and Barry Horowitz being best friends, but culturally mismatched. And
yes.
They settle their differences with Milton Bradley karate fighters.
Yeah, I asked you in Facebook Messenger, did you have this as a kid? And you said yes. But I had a knockoff version of this. Like, it wasn't karate fighters. It was like something different.
I had the karate fighters, and that was the ones they had. I had those. The one guy with the pants and shit that wasn't the ninja, I always thought he looked like a Guile ripoff or something. I don't know why I thought that. I think it's just because he was wearing pants and like a tank top thing. And then like the ninja guy reminded me of Mortal Kombat because ninjas. So I always wanted to play that guy, and my little brother would play as the other dude because fuck him. They were fun. Like, I remember having fun with that. And I didn't know they had more, actually, because I didn't go out and buy these things. My parents did.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like, I kind of made me nostalgic for them, though. I'm like, I wonder if I could just like find a couple of these that work still. It was a fun toy.
Yeah, the knockoff that I had was fun.
What did your guys look like? Did they look like anything to you?
No, it's just like generic ninja dudes.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of generic dudes, we got Marty Jannetty versus Joe Dorgan. There's nothing generic about Marty Jannetty because, you know, he killed a guy outside of a bowling alley one time.
Mm-hmm.
All that shit. Like, this hot bod Joe Dorgan guy, I don't know. Marty hit all his offense on this dude, and he gets like a few brief little flurries of like punches and shit, but it's all Marty. And he beats him with like a top rope fist drop. It's his showcase. It's not exactly a squash. He decisively beat this dude.
Yeah.
They got to hype Marty. He's like the mid card babyface guy right now, I guess.
And I guess this is like why I'm like liking WCW Nitro a little bit more. It's like everything is like if Bret Hart is not in the mix, I'm just like it's boring. Like obviously I like Razor and stuff. The Dean Douglas stuff. I mean, it also sucks that HBK got beat up by one Marine, aka 9 Marines.
Yeah, Syracuse. They keep making reference to Syracuse, and this is really funny to me. They can't let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you think they would want to make it just go away and get memory hold.
Yeah, so I think it sucks that like Sean's not there, which hurt them, and then obviously fucking Mabel crushing the Undertaker's face.
And Paul Bearer is so upset about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that gets into the discussion when we'll do an intermission and do the War Journal before we tackle the next set of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got some thoughts about that too, like just the overall state of things right now. They tell us next week that we're getting Bret Hart and Hakushi teamed up with against Jerry Lawler and Isaac Yankem.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to get British Bulldog and Marty Jannetty. And I was like, that sounds like those could be pretty good matches, maybe.
Yeah.
Sounds like it could be fun. Spoiler alert, it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then Vince is in the ring with Bulldog and Cornette and an attorney. It's Clarence Mason. He's here. He Cornette rant and raved about what happened at In Your House 4 and how Gorilla Monsoon's trying to overlook Bulldog again, all that stuff. And he claims the contract for that match said the winner would face Bret Hart, but Bulldog won the match by DQ. So he should be facing Bret, and because the Bulldog wants revenge for what happened. And I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, should they want to just face the winner of the upcoming title match instead of fighting the guy who's getting a title match? It's like, he's not the champion. That doesn't make any sense.
It just shows you that they just didn't want to make Bulldog the champion for some strange reason. It's just like, we're gonna book him with Bret. That sounds right.
I think they just fucked up. Like they laid this segment out and they didn't think about it or whatever really or enough. Or maybe Cornette thinks about fucking everything. He overthinks. And if he said something like, well, why don't you just give him he said, whatever, fuck it. And then he went backstage after it was over. Like, why don't you just say this? Like what I just said a minute ago. And they probably said, oh yeah, I think you're right. Because guess what? They fixed it the next episode.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they fixed the thing I complained about. I'll give them this right now. They at least tend to do that. If I complain about something that doesn't make sense, they always fix it the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
But I went on this whole thing. Like, what if Bret loses that match? And then he fights the guy that lost and he didn't get the title? Or what if, Bulldog wrestles Bret before that match and he gets injured? Or, what if Bulldog gets... It's like, it just didn't... There were so many questions.
Mm-hmm.
But Jim allows Clarence Mason to talk, and I think this is supposed to be like a play on Jackie Childs from Seinfeld. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
So there was this lawyer guy in Seinfeld named Jackie Childs. I think he was Kramer's lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think this is a play on this because of two reasons. One, it's like a black guy who's a lawyer. And that was like big TV back then. That was like the biggest TV show. The other thing was because the way he talks sometimes reminds me of him.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jackie Childs in Seinfeld does this thing where like Kramer or somebody will go into his office, they'll complain about something. He's like, oh, well, I want to sue this guy. And he's like, well, that's lascivious. It's outrageous. And quite frankly, it's just not right. He did a line that was kind of like that. He said there was an injustice, it wasn't right, and it was lascivious. Like something like that. But anyway, he's here to clear up this whole contract matter, and he supports Mr. Cornette and any legalities that come up. And then Lawler says on commentary, he's the best barrister since Jerry McDivitt. And I'm like, what the things? See, that's what I'm talking about, this inside baseball stuff. And then, like, if you don't know, Jerry McDivitt is Vince McMahon's personal lawyer. He's been his lawyer from since back in the 80s all the way up until, like, 2 years ago when he finally retired.
And weren't they doing this, like, lawyer thing right when the O.J. Simpson trial was happening, and they were kind of, like, making him a joke in a sense, a way? And
you
then,
could argue, I didn't think about that. You're right. Like there might be some aspect of that going on too. I was just thinking of Seinfeld.
yeah, I mean, it could be a little bit of both, essentially.
It could be.
Yeah.
But Bulldog gets on the mic because Vince asked Cornette about Marty Jannetty, and Cornette's like, "No, none of that matters right now. It doesn't matter." And then Bulldog starts talking shit about Marty. And then Marty runs out to the ring and attacks him from behind. He drop kicks him, and Bulldog flies out of the ring. And then Cornette like tries to swing his racket at him, and he misses. And like Marty just punches him, and he takes a clothesline, and Cornette goes flying.
Dude, he takes a nice. I gotta admit, Cornette does good bumping.
Yeah, he does like this oversell kind of bump. What he does, like he flies in the air, and like lands on his back, and he has to do that because he's a manager. He's not a wrestler. You have to take some crazy bump. It's like when you'd see Bobby Heenan bump. He would like do these crazy ass bumps. She was like, that's like a fat guy. Like, why is he doing that to himself?
I used to be like, oh, it needs to look like all serious and stuff. But like, I'm an adult now where I'm just like, I get the business. I get it. Like everything's entertainment and fun.
Yeah.
And like seeing people flop around, like especially when HBK was making fun of fucking Hulk Hogan with the selling, like that shit's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he did that for two reasons: to steal the spotlight from him and also say "fuck him."
Yep,
and it worked.
But you know what's fun? Like, that's a little side note. I don't know if Hulk Hogan really cared, and that's kind of sad because you know him. He's like, I'm getting paid, brother. Doesn't really matter.
I think he did care.
You think?
Yeah, because I don't know. He doesn't really talk about Shawn Michaels ever. You notice?
Because he made fun of him. Like on didn't he go on like Saturday Night Live or whatever? And like,
no, he did a segment where it looked like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
and he was dressed up like Hogan. Like they did that. It was like a fake Saturday Night Live thing, or it was Letterman. It was a fake Letterman. Is what that was. But
and I always loved the ECW fucking Steve Austin Hulk Hogan impersonation.
Yeah, those two don't get along either. Let's see though. Oh yeah, at the end of this, like after Cornette goes flying out of the ring, Clarence Mason's in the ring by himself, and he's like, he like won't move, and like Marty's like teasing hitting him, but he doesn't. And then after all this happens, like Vince rolled out of the ring or whatever, he got back to the desk, and he's like, "Imagine the world with one less attorney in it." God. They're on fire with these little inside jokes.
Yeah, and like Jerry the King Lawler is like, you know, Marty, if you hit him, he's gonna sue you. And I think I heard look at the lawyer's mouth, and he's like, "I will sue you." And I was like, "That, yeah." I was like, "This is funny." Like, and it's also like funny, like Marty, because people think like he murdered someone or something like that.
He claims to have murdered somebody.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. uh, but the next match, I didn't even know there was a fucking. I thought it was like a replay on how it was like edited. By the way, because it showed like the recap of the kid coming up behind the smoking guns and beating them up essentially, and then it like transitions straight into the actual match, which is Otis Apollo and Scott D'Amore.
Scott D'Amore,
Mm-hmm.
TNA fame.
Yep.
I knew he used to be a wrestler. I just didn't know how, where exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you found their names because I couldn't, because it didn't say him in the Chiron. And Vince said one guy's last name, Otis, and I never heard their names.
I always like finding the jobbers because I'm just like, I want to know if it's like the people that I grew up with, as actual superstars,
Yeah, sometimes you can pick them out, like a jobber in the next Raw. But
Yeah.
sometimes you can't. Like I had no idea that other dude was Scott D'Amore at all. I had no clue. It's just Billy Bart owning guys. It's just squash.
It's a squash match.
They killed him and they finished him with their backbreaker leg drop thing.
Was this the match where Kid had his like lame fucking promo?
That's later, I think. That's not where I have it.
Okay. Because I'm trying to find my notes and I don't know if it was here. Might be next episode.
Maybe it was here. No, oh no, wait. I see it now. It was in the middle of this match. the squash match we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Whoa, that was a. But yeah, 1-2-3 Kid did some like little promo where he said like, "I apologize for my actions in your house, and if you guys are real tag team champions, you'll grant me and Razor a rematch." It felt kind of insincere.
Yep. Even Vince was like, I think that was an apology. I don't know. And they moved on.
He looked like he was high when he did it. I don't know, man.
It was so low. Listen, I'm not asking for Kid to scream, but he looked like he just fucking snorted some, like, something and just decided to talk.
He did some sodas earlier. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He was cruising on Lake Havasoma.
Mm-hmm.
We get a brief promo from Brett who says after the Royal Rumble, he never got another title shot, which is correct. And he respects Diesel as a wrestler, but when friends fight, they go to war, and that's what's going to happen. And then Brett says the stipulations weigh in his favor, and he says, "Big boy, meet the truck stop." I was like, okay, that's pretty clever. Mm-hmm. I see what you did.
Yep. Then we get that like they've been doing like heavy merchandising for like the past couple of shows that we watch, where Barry Dudinski has like replica belts and stuff and photos, and I was like, man, if I was a kid, I'd be happy to get that.
I thought so too. You know what's funny now though too is like you look at those belts and then you see like you can buy replicas of the titles from WWE directly. Like It looks the same. It's just it might not be the exact same, but it looks just like it.
Which I'm like debating to either get the Winged Eagle or fucking the Attitude Era Eagle belt.
I like the classic Eagle better myself, but I like both of those.
I since we've been watching like 94 and 95, I'm just like, I like the Winged Eagle bit better, so I'm probably going towards that when I eventually get it.
That's like that might be, to me, that's like the best world title in wrestling ever. I can't think of one that I like better than it, really.
Yeah, I want to get that, and I want to get the WCW US title.
Chaz, who we fired from the show, has the Smoking Skull one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Oh yeah, like speaking of all this merchandising thing, I don't remember if we mentioned this or not. Like they have Pogs.
Oh yeah, I fucking marked out for that.
I don't remember us talking about the Pogs. I think we did talk about it briefly, but they keep hawking it, and I'm like, yeah, Pogs were just such a fad thing in the '90s. It was specifically in like the mid '90s when it was a fad. Because I remember it died out pretty quick.
In show and tell for Boy Scouts, I brought my Pog collection.
I had a little Pog collection. Everybody was doing this. If you don't know what Pogs is, and I'm sure there's a lot out there that don't, like Pogs was like these little cardboard coins. It looked like a coin that would fit in the palm of your hand, but it was like cardboard, and it was like maybe like a centimeter thick or something or less.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had these things called slammers, which was like just a big plastic thick version of that. And what you do is like everybody's got Pogs, and when you play Pogs with a guy, you like stack them up and you throw your slammer on it, and then however many landed like fucking face up or anything versus the other guys, you won. Am I remembering that right?
Yep, you're right.
And then like the winner would take the other guy's Pogs because he fucking lost in that stack.
Yeah, it was like childhood gambling in a way.
Yeah, because all the teachers and shit at school would freak out. Like, that's gambling, and you weren't allowed to use Pogs. I'm like, no. I never considered it gambling back then. I'm like, how is it gambling? And even as an adult, I'm like, calling it gambling still feels like kind of a reach.
Well, what me and my friends used to do, we would like choose a certain amount of our own, and he would choose a certain amount of his own, and we would put it in a pile in like a tower, and we would chuck our fucking slammers at it. I remember getting my friend's fucking Beetleborg fucking Pog collection. Yeah, so I was like, fuck yeah, Beetleborg.
I want to get some Pogs. I want to try to find these WWF Pogs. Somehow I just totally didn't.
There was like 1,000, right? He like Vince got like fucking, I don't know if he got mad or something or excited or both, because like Didinsky fucking like poured the whole fucking Pog thing on the mat, and like Vince got annoyed.
God damn it! You didn't need to pull the whole bag out and throw it on the mat.
Yeah.
No, but like maybe I'm gonna try to track those down. Those fucking WWF Pogs. I feel like I should own those.
If you find it, let me know.
We'll try.
Mm-hmm.
Up next is the main event. It's Owen Hart with Jim Cornette versus Razor Ramon for the WWF Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, if everybody remembers, they had the Battle Royale and Owen Hart won. So that's why we have this match.
We come back from a commercial before this match starts, and Paul Bear's
in a graveyard, yeah.
He's in a graveyard howling about how the Undertaker's face is destroyed. He'll be back. Oh, yes. That was it. It's just hyping Undertaker.
Yep.
I got a lot of notes about this. I don't know if I want to say it all. What do you have to say about this match?
I liked it at times, but I was kind of just like mid on it a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I thought it was odd seeing Yokozuna. Like, even though Yokozuna is like Owen's partner, it was so weird seeing him on the outside. Like being a main eventer, and now he's just like on the outside, all fat and like have a scruff and stuff. Was kind of like awkward for me. But listen, I love Owen and Razor, and they were doing fine. It didn't feel important in some way, if that makes any sense.
Sort of. I think it's because of a couple things. Like, one, because the way Owen's kind of been booked lately, you don't really believe he could beat Razor.
Yeah, because Razor's been booked pretty strong.
Owen kind of hasn't. Like, he's mostly been in a tag team this year, and he doesn't suck or anything. It's just like, I'm not saying like Owen sucks skill wise. I'm saying like in terms of his booking, he's like a little lower on the totem pole than Razor, according to like how they've booked him through the year. So I think that's part of it. Like if this is a IC title match between Razor and Bulldog, I think you could say, I don't know who could win this.
Yeah.
You might think Bulldog would beat Razor right now, really. But like, yeah. I liked the match. The ending was kind of to me.
Yeah, I think that's what ruined it for me was the ending.
I think they did it that way so nobody would really lose. You know,
so kind of protecting both of them essentially.
Yeah, so Owen doesn't get decisively beat because they still kind of want to protect him, and then Razor doesn't get beat either because there was interference.
But
yeah,
but like, I think what annoys me is like when like any wrestling promotion, when they have tag partners and like the tag partner DQs the other tag partner in like a big match, like usually that would piss off the person because remember, Owen Hart got pissed off at his brother. Now I know Yokozuna's not his brother, but he's his brother. You know what I mean?
He also doesn't want to get killed by Yokozuna because that's happened one time.
Yeah.
One time Yoko missed and he killed Owen.
But like what I'm trying to say is like there was no pissed off Owen in any way.
I feel like this is why, and it gets into like the psychology a little bit of Owen. I'm breaking this down into deep character shit. I think because Owen knew he was going to lose. And he'd rather get saved from getting decisively beat in the middle of the ring than lose.
Okay.
Because he's that kind of guy. Like, it's different, like, you know, like the tag match with Brett or something where like they fucking lost or some shit. He got mad. He didn't get beat. That's why. It wasn't him that lost. It was Brett. But like that's a little different. But like I feel like for heels, that's like a thing usually where it's like I'd rather get out of this or somebody fucking help me than actually get pinned or lose in the middle of the ring because that's embarrassing.
I think what plays a little bit is when Brett essentially DQ'd Diesel and Diesel just started punching Brett. So I'm like kind of like hoping for the same thing with Owen where it's like, what the fuck, Yoko? Now I'm not saying Owen will like beat up Yoko, but he could get a little pissed off, right?
He could. But I think in this instance, it's like Yoko's his friend and his tag team partner. And he saved him from getting beat by Razor Ramon. Like, since Owen's a heel, fuck Razor.
And he could always say, like, Cornette told me to do it, Yoko.
Yeah. And he can also still say, you never beat me.
Yes.
You never actually beat me in this ring. I was going to. Well, you didn't. Like, one of those things. There was little spots in this match I liked a lot. I liked a lot of their interactions too. There's a lot of little stuff that happened to this match that was like really cool, I thought. Like, like I think when the match started, like Razor punches Owen and he clotheslines him out of the ring like immediately. And like Owen gets up and he's pissed off because he just got punked out. He like stomps up the stairs to get back into the ring. But then they do like a little chain wrestling stuff, and then Razor takes over from Owen, which is like kind of funny. And then he starts working Owen's arm and shit. And they do this cool thing where like Razor's got Owen in like an arm ringer thing, like he's holding his arm bars, like twisting his arm. And Owen's like running around the ring trying to get out of it. He goes in like a full circle, and then like he can't. And what happens is he gets flung around the ring and he lands on his fucking face. And it just looked really good. And I remember like, oh, that's an old spot guys used to do, and they don't do that anymore. But he's like crying and shit and begging off because he's hurting his arm. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like fucking on his knees, like begging for like forgiveness. And then like they do another spot where like Razor tries to get Owen up for a back suplex, but Owen backflips him out on the floor. And then like Owen like lands on the he like gets up on the apron, he like slaps Razor or no. I fucked this all up. I'm sorry. He was gonna do a back suplex, but Owen flipped out of it and he landed on his feet. And he slaps Razor in the face. Instead of doing something, he goes, "Woo!" He does his woo shit. And he starts apologizing immediately. He's like, "Oh, no, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry." And then like he tries to grab Owen, but he like slips away from him because he's like too fucking fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like this interesting dynamic between these two guys. He goes for like a crossbody, and then Razor catches him and just hits the fucking fall away slam. Then Cornette gets involved, he gets popped, and he fucking takes a bump, and it's great. And then like that's when Fuji and Yoko come out. And then what else? What other little spots here? I think. Oh yeah, they came back from a break and they did this thing where like Razor got Owen up like he was going to back suplex him, but he just flung him across the ring, and his arm was behind his back, and he landed on it. Mm-hmm. And Owen was like, "Ah!" It's like his arm was like limp and shit, and he couldn't like move it. I'm like, "Oh, that looked pretty good, actually."
Mm-hmm.
Then this is the spot I was talking about. Razor runs the rope, but like Owen sidesteps him and throws him out of the ring. I mixed my spots up there. He does a baseball slide drop kick, and then Razor hits the railing, and he sells it like it's like he hit it with his face, and he falls down. And he's like, "Oh," like he fucked his jaw up, and then Owen just hits an elbow drop from the apron, and he does another woo in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, more cool shit happens. Owen hits a clean ass top rope elbow drop. Oh my god, it was so good. The finish though was, I think Razor's getting ready to do. He does an avalanche back suplex thing, but Owen reverses it to a crossbody in midair, and he pins him. But Razor rolls over him, and he pins him, but then he kicks out. That was like a really cool near fall. And then they take a break after that. We come back. He's doing the Razor's Edge, but then Yoko gets in the ring and he breaks it up. He like pulls Owen out of the Razor's Edge.
Mm-hmm.
That was the end of the match.
Yeah, and what'd you give the match?
I gave it a 7.2.
Oh, you gave it the big curve. I mean, I like really low, but it's lower than what you did. I gave it a 6.4 out of 10.
I just like the psychology and stuff in the match a lot. Like that's because if you notice, that's what I was talking about more.
Yeah.
It's just the little stuff they were doing, their interactions, and how like they were both. It's like you had this little heel guy who was fucking with Razor, and he couldn't get one over on him. Like it was good dynamic, I thought.
Mm-hmm. But Ahmed Johnson shows up and slams Yoko.
Yeah, they were beating him up after that. Both guys were. And then, 1, 2, 3 kid tried to save him. He got rid of Owen, but then Yokozuna just headbutts him and kills him with a leg drop.
Do you think that was kind of like a rib at Lex lifting Yoko, essentially?
No.
No?
I think Vince just thought, because it worked the last time with Lex.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this will get Ahmed over if he slams him. And I think it worked. It was a big pop.
Dude, Andre Johnson sounds way better than Ahmed.
Andre Johnson?
Yeah.
It kind of does, but I guess Vince wouldn't like that because Andre, it's confusing.
Yeah. You're not a giant.
He doesn't like it when guys have the same name at all.
Mm-hmm.
He's just OCD.
Austin Theory? You're not Stone Cold. You're Theory.
Theory.
Yeah.
The cool thing about this though was like they did that, so like they let Ahmed slam Yoko, and then Bulldog comes in to try to sneak attack him, but when Ahmed turns around, he fucking thinks twice of it and he backs off.
I fucking love that. Like
Yeah.
that made me pop a little bit. I'm like, fuck yeah, you, because I know we bury this fucking promotion every time, but if this was AEW, they'd be like trying to beat up Ahmed essentially. Like you have Darby try to like beat him up.
Or you'd be like in that segment on what was that Dynamite where like somebody's got a chair and then like nobody's gonna back down from them even though they're fucking supposed to.
Dude, that pissed me off. Like after like watching fucking Stevie Richards fucking talk about it, I'm just like they went to the business for themselves, I think.
It's one or two things happened. It's just
Yeah.
that or like they just fucked it up and like it was awkward as shit and nobody knew what to do and it was
Mm-hmm. Well, I know they've always had like rumors that Thunder Rosa is hated in the back room, essentially. So I wonder if they're just like, we're gonna no sell your fucking. What if she like swung for real though? Like they would be dead, or like CTE'd.
It's funny because when I heard Cornette talk about it, he was saying like, see, back in the day when they do little angles like this in the ring, where like the baby face was coming for you with some shit and you were healed and you were in the ring, you were supposed to get the fuck out of there as fast as you could.
That's what Stevie Richards say.
Because if you didn't, you were going to get hit. Because you have to. If you can't get away, he has to hit you. Otherwise, it looks like that. It looks like I'm not supposed to hit you, but it looks awful.
Yeah.
But yeah. They didn't even do that with this. The dude just thought twice of it and was like, I'm not going to engage this guy and leaves. Which was, they're pushing on that. So,
I can't wait. Overall, I think this was a pretty solid Raw.
Yeah, I thought it was an okay show.
Yeah.
We got a good match. I liked it better than you, but I thought it was good. And there was a fairly entertaining, if a bit long promo segment with Cornette and them. I thought, maybe it went a little too long, but it's okay.
And the commentary was actually funny this time.
Yeah, this time it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was just Lawler. I mean, Vince had moments too, but yeah.
What'd you give the rating for this match? I mean, the show.
I gave it a 6.2.
Okay. I gave it a 5.9 out of 10.
That match, the match I like more weighed that more towards being a better show for me.
Yep.
Also for TV rating, it got 2.1.
Oh, so they're both rocking a 2.1. That's interesting.
Well, I think the Nitro episode got a 2.3.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Well, they're still close. They're still kind of neck to neck, essentially.
It's pretty even, like, ratings-wise right now between these two. I guess that gap doesn't really start until, like, next year when the NWO shit happens. I mean, I guess we'll see. But right now, they're kind of, like, really right there, like, next to each other. Like, one week, somebody will get a few points more, and then it bounces back. That's just kind of how it seems to be going right now.
All right. Well, we're moving to the other company, WCW Monday Night. I almost said Raw. Nitro, November 6th, 1995. We have Uncle Eric, Bobby Heenan, and Steve McMichael, and fucking Pepe the dog, who has wings on because. Was it wings? No, right?
That was on.
No, it was a clown. It was a clown. It was a clown.
That was last episode. When she was dressed like a little witch. I don't know if Pepe's a she or he.
Yeah. They're in my old hometown when I used to work at the IRS, Jacksonville, Florida.
The home base of AEW and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep. And the history of WWE.com, the show drew 9,500 fans, but only 3,500 fans paid for entry. So that's a lot of free tickets.
It's not good.
Yeah. And I don't think every time when AEW has their fucking Jacksonville, it's always at the Daily whatever arena.
Daly's place?
Yeah. I don't think that was available then. It kind of looked like it a little bit, but I wasn't too sure.
I don't know. I never looked up when Daly's place was built, or if it was like if that's like a renovated arena or something.
Yeah. Uncle Eric says that tonight's show is interactive telecast where the fans can call the number and pay 99 cents to pick a wrestler from the red locker room that has Ric Flair, Meng, Diamond Dallas Page, the Blue Bloods, Big Bubba Rogers, the Shark, and Scott Norton, which is funny because they were just beating the shit out of each other. And they face off against the blue locker room. I just amended the words together. That has Sting, Johnny B. Bad, fucking Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who's banging his fucking wood in the background. Dave Sullivan.
Yvonne.
What?
Yvonne Sullivan.
Yeah. I forgot he's Yvonne. Alex Wright, the Nasty Boys, and Mr. JL in his fucking dumb costume.
Forgot Mr. JL.
Yeah. And Bischoff tells the fans that Randy Savage still cannot wrestle per doctor's orders. However, Macho Man is in the building tonight and is looking for Lex Luger.
And then that doesn't happen.
That never happens, but we see something different, which I fucking laugh my ass off.
Oh my god! Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the funny thing Bobby says before the show starts is like he wants the fans to vote for Okerlund versus Shivani.
Mm-hmm. I was for that. I want to see that match.
Me too. Gene would win.
Yep. Turn on that light.
he had another moment like that again.
Yeah. All right. So, opening match, the Giant with Jimmy Hart versus Cobra. fucking G.I. Joe fuck.
I probably talked about this before when he came out on like the pay-per-view, the Fall Brawl in September. I think it was. But he comes out to like fucking Morse code. That's literally what it is. It sounds like that, but like more obnoxious.
and then he like gives a dog tag to a child and does this, and the kid is like, "What the fuck?"
I didn't catch that because I was writing, but like, oh my god, that's embarrassing. The guy think that it's got to be like Bret Hart. Give the kids sunglasses. You give them dog tags, and it's like they don't fucking care. That's rough.
Yeah, when I saw the Giant come out, I'm like, all right, who is he, quote unquote, defending the title against? And it was like Cobra. I'm like, oh my god, he's dead, man.
And that's what happened. The funny thing about that though is like before the match started, the Giant picks up Dave Penzer, the ring announcer, like he's a fucking child. And he threatens him, apparently, because you don't hear it. But then Dave goes like, "This is a world title match," and he fucking lets him down. Yeah. I was like, okay, that's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, I laughed. It was good. And then he hits a chokeslam and wins.
That's it. That's the match. Yeah. As soon as the bell rang, he grabbed him by the throat, chokeslammed, and it ended. And Eric reminded us, the Giant's not the champion. He can't do this. It's not his belt. And then Bobby says, like, that's the fastest ending I've ever seen to a match before. And then Monko goes, Bobby, the last time you saw something finish that fast was on your honeymoon. And I stopped. He burned him. Oh, that was good.
We cut to Gene Okerlund, who's in the red locker room that is not red at all, which I think they like should have had a backdrop of like red or whatever.
A red curtain or some shit. A sheet.
Yeah. Yeah. The Shark and Scott Norton resume their arguing, so I guess they're fighting again. And the Blue Bloods are drinking tea and reading a book, and like Gene had to like point out that man's reading a book. I was like,
Why is that so funny?
yeah.
Oh God.
Then we cut to Tony Schiavone, handles the blue locker room, which has a blue curtain backdrop, which I was like, okay. And then Sting tells the fans that he wants Flair because the kids, damn it.
Oh yeah, he says that later. That's
Yeah.
later on in the show. But yeah, he does like a little promo there. Like they both get a promo at different times.
But what I love about the whole like locker rooms and stuff is like they're all going crazy, and I just love it.
The funny thing to me, I couldn't take my eyes off of this, but the one time when they were doing, they were looking at the babyface locker room.
Mhm.
Alex Wright was standing next to Johnny B. Bad, and he didn't look like he didn't know what the fuck to do. He was just because everybody else was just like mumbling and saying shit, and Alex Wright was standing there like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like he just kept doing like stuff, and he patted Johnny on the shoulder and was like, just kept nodding.
Yeah, Johnny B. Bad had his title and he like kept on hitting it and stuff and like yelling. I didn't know what he was saying, but he was like yelling and stuff. And then like Sting just yelled, "I want Flair!" And I'm like,
It's like the special ed room in school.
yeah.
Goddamn.
Oh man. Okay. So this is the part.
This is the part.
Yeah. So it cuts to like them outside, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. And like this guy's, I don't know what the fuck he's wearing. I don't know if he's like a Muslim Jamaican, whatever.
I said he dressed up like a crazy genie on rollerblades playing guitar badly. That's what he looked like to me.
Nothing rhymed. It kind of looked like Hulk Hogan possibly went up to this dude and said, "Can you sing a song about Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage?" And he just fucking blurted out bullshit.
He sucked.
Yeah.
His guitar playing sucked.
Hogan urges Savage to stick with him, while Savage urges Hogan to keep fighting from the dark side. And I'm just like, what the? And in between fucking Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, there's a bum that just keeps on interrupting them and with like saying, "Oh, you're doing this again."
This dude, like Hogan says, like, we got rid of Jimmy Hart, and now we got this guy. This is the master of my war. This is the master of war crimes. I'm like, what the fuck, the master of war crimes? And this dude looks like a hobo. He looks like a homeless man, and he's like drunk, like he's acting drunk. I don't know. And then, like, yeah, Hogan says something about like how this Macho Man has joined him on the dark side, brother, because he says he realizes that the prayers and the vitamins are the most important thing. I'm like, wait, you join the dark side and you realize the prayers and the vitamins are the most important thing. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
He has a hard time like trying to pry himself away from being, the I'm a real American Hulk Hogan and stuff. And it's like, just obviously he does get away from it when NWO happens, but like he's still clinging on. And it's just like, just be something different. Be like, have a dark side to you. Like Macho Man, obviously when he was feuding with, Hulk Hogan, "I hate your guts," like all that stuff. Like he went fucking insane. Like, why can't Hulk Hogan do that? Like, I don't understand that.
I don't know. He just has a hard time, getting away from that. Because it's like, I don't know about you, but prayers and vitamins don't sound like the dark side.
No, it sounds like, you're seeing Jesus and like being healthy. Like, that's far from the dark side.
It depends on who you ask, I suppose. But
Yeah.
Savage says Hulk should stay here. By the way, they're at Venice Beach, allegedly. But while he goes to scope out Nitro and figure out who can be trusted. And so that's, I guess that was supposed to happen, and we never saw Savage at the show. I don't know what the fuck that was supposed to lead to.
Yeah.
This whole segment is like, what the fuck is happening?
Yep.
It was terrible. It was bad. Like Hogan did a shitty nonsense promo, and then like Savage was just there. And he couldn't save it. I mean, how the fuck can you save that?
It also makes me like wonder. I just like making these like assumptions that are probably not true, but I just feel like Hulk Hogan was on the beach and like Randy Savage came with a cameraman and said, "Bro, we got to do a fucking promo," and they found this like fucking artist and bum and decided to do a promo.
That's probably what happened. He just
Yeah.
caught some dudes on the boardwalk there and said, "Hey, you want to be on TV?" Yeah. After that business, we got Taskmaster with Jimmy Hart versus Renegade.
Oh, the Warrior wannabe.
Yeah. Or the Hulk Hogan wannabe, I guess, depending on what, if you believe Jimmy Hart, I guess. There wasn't much to this one. I mean, the Renegade runs out, he jumpstarts the match, and he overwhelms Taskmaster, but after that, it doesn't. Taskmaster gets control, and not much good happens. And I'm not blaming Kevin Sullivan for that. I'm blaming Renegade. They work really awkwardly together.
What, like, I get it with the face paint, but what's with the arms just having big
R's?
R's on it?
So you know he's a fucking renegade, brother.
Or he likes to say the hard R, I guess. I don't know.
He's got hard R's all over him.
Yeah.
R for retarded.
Yeah.
But Kevin beat him with a double stop from the top rope for 3. I didn't write much about what they did because a lot of it wasn't good.
And like Jimmy Hart, like rubbed the face paint off his face.
Yeah, like after the match ended, he grabbed a beer and a towel, and like, yeah, he rubbed his face paint off. And he started yelling at him, like, "You'll never be Hulk Hogan. You're never going to be Hulk Hogan, baby. Now you're nobody, baby. Now you're just Rick, baby." And he left.
Yep. I kind of ironically love Dark Side Jimmy Hart.
That's just Jimmy Hart.
Yeah.
That's what's funny. It's like, no, he's the dark side. It's like, no, he's just Jimmy Hart again. He's not babyface bullshit Jimmy Hart.
Mm.
That's just what he always used to do.
True.
Did you score the match?
No, I didn't even give it a score. I kind of like gave it a mild squash.
This was another one that was like in some weird in-between area, and I couldn't really figure out if I was going to score it or not, and I did, and I gave it a 4.7. And the only reason I did that was because it ended so quickly. Like, they mercifully didn't make that match go longer than 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. It cuts to the red locker room. The Shark and Scott Norton is fighting again. Fucking tired of that shit. But this is when the lights go out. And
yeah, when the lights go out, Gene's like, "Whoever that was, turn the lights back on."
Who intentionally turned it on? Turn it back on. And then like Ric Flair does a promo. He's like, "Let there be light."
It doesn't matter if the lights are on or off. He just starts raving about Sting. And then the lights came on after he said something about the lights. And he's like, "And the good Lord on my command made the lights come back on." It was great.
I fucking loved it.
He tells Sting if he wants to do something about what happened, do it.
Mm-hmm. And then it cuts to some Japanese wrestlers, Mashiro Chono and Jushin Liger, are eating sushi. Like, just because they're Japanese, Japanese people eat more other food besides fucking sushi. By the way,
I know.
It's like it annoyed the fuck out of me because like they had like a whole fucking tray in the other episode of sushi, and now they did it again with like more. I'm like, just I don't know, give them a hamburger. They're in fucking America. I'm sure they love hamburgers too.
They have McDonald's over there.
Yeah.
See, that just made me mad, not because of that shit, because they had this giant sushi platter in front of them and I didn't. It's like,
true.
God damn it, I want sushi. Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's just.
Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Redacted or Benoit.
Chris Benoit.
Benoit. I mean, we've seen this match in like so many different forms. I still liked it.
It's still good.
Yeah.
The only thing that maybe dragged it down a little bit was because they, in the middle of this, was when that thing happened with the Japanese. What the fuck did Eric call it? He calls them the Japanese conglomerate or something. I don't know.
Oh, the large contingent of Japanese wrestlers. Yeah.
Yeah, Japanese contingent. Yeah, I saw Jushin Liger, like what you're saying. I think Masahiro Chono was there too.
Yep.
And I didn't recognize the other dudes though.
Me either. I just saw Jushin Liger and I was like, oh, fuck yeah. I was like, because he's awesome.
He wears that outfit everywhere. That's the thing.
Even in the shower.
This was like, these matches are good, but it's really hard to keep up with the action and write notes. Like, I can't do it because they go too fast.
Yeah.
Too much shit happens. It's like these guys, well, you don't get it. They do like 4 or 5 moves in the span of like 15 seconds or something.
And they make sense. Not like ballet dancing moves like AEW or indie wrestling.
Yeah.
This one has a way, like, essentially, if I had to, and I know a lot of AEW marks are going to be like, oh, you said Street Fighter. Like, you know when you, like, reverse a Street Fighter move, essentially?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that with Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. It makes sense to be in a fight situation to reverse whatever the other opponent is doing in a believable way.
They wrestle like it's a contest, like it's a fight.
Mm-hmm.
They both do things like Eddie works a more lucha style, but he can get pretty aggressive too. But like they both guys really lay their stuff in, makes it look believable.
Fucking Chris Benoit has a sick lion tamer. That looked fucking sick.
When he did that shit, that was so cool. Like he flipped Eddie up in the air, and like I don't know what the hell it was. It looked like he did like a big spine buster,
and
then he put him in that lion tamer. I was like, oh damn, it's a good one. I don't think it was quite as good as Chris Jericho's old one, but it was good. But yeah, both guys hit really impressive, aggressive looking, precise offense.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what's funny is my favorite thing about this match was that after all the big moves that they did to each other, and there was a lot of them, there was a part where they were both stuck on the apron and they resorted to just punching each other in the fucking face repeatedly. Like it was a hockey fight.
Yep.
They were just like hitting each other in the face like a lot.
And if I remember correctly, Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero didn't pull back any punches. They actually like legit did stiff punches back then.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
You can work that.
Yeah.
Got at each other.
I just know they're both intense and stuff. So
yeah, apparently. I've been learning that more about Eddie lately. I wasn't really aware of that as much. Let's see. We're okay. Yeah, like I didn't write that much about what they did in the ring because I can't.
I just know that Eddie Guerrero tried to do the victory roll like he did to Pittman, and it didn't work on Chris Benoit. I was like, fuck yeah, Pittman is a fucking jobber compared to Chris Benoit.
Yeah, I mean, like, they did all kinds of cool shit. You know, German suplex is fucking. Eddie did that cool. I don't know what that is, where he springboards off the ropes and turns it into a crazy arm drag. Like I don't know what to call that.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of stuff. But like the finish was Eddie was on the apron after that big hockey fight punch thing, and Benoit was going to suplex him back in the ring, but Eddie spins in midair and turns it into a crossbody. And he pins Chris, but his feet are like on the ropes, and he gets the 3. The ref didn't see that.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets up like, what the fuck? My feet are on the ropes! And like Eddie rolls out of the ring. It's just...
And I like that Bobby Heenan is like fucking going out of control about this.
Yeah, because he's a heel.
Yeah.
He's like, his feet were on the ropes. And they're like, Eric's like, why don't you calm down? He's like, no, it's not right. I gave it 6.8.
I gave it a 7.0 out of 10.
The Uncle Chris curve.
Shivani tells fans that time is running out to pick someone from the blue locker room. And then this is where Sting, I believe, goes on his kid rant and stuff. He's like the little stingers and stuff.
What was he talking about with that? I don't remember anything involving kids.
I don't remember Ric Flair. I think I vaguely do remember. Kind of is where Ric Flair is like, think about the little stingers helping out.
Oh, it was something he said. Okay, I thought he kept like it was something he did.
No.
Okay.
And the Nasty Boys try to sneak in a small promo about the Blue Bloods, but they run out of time, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, this is also where Alex Wright was doing that shit I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Sting's promo was pretty good here, though. Sometimes he's like kind of dodgy on promos. This time he did good.
So we talked about this before, but like, do you think they made a lot of money off of this? Because if I was a kid, and I know they say make sure your parents allow you to do this, essentially. Yeah. But like, come on, like, there's before the internet and memes happened, there had to be people like call in and be like, I want to see fucking I don't know, the Shark versus fucking Johnny B. Bad or whatever.
Yeah, like you bet they made money off this because like this is when they were really pushing that hotline thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that wasn't really a thing. I feel like in the 80s. I don't ever remember seeing anything about that. That became more of a thing in the 90s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, by the way, I noticed because WWF was pushing their hotline too in Raw.
Yeah,
their hotline is 50 cents more expensive.
Damn.
So they're charging $1.49 a minute. WCW just charges 99 cents a minute.
I want to say in '97 when they were still doing hotline stuff, I remember doing something where I picked somebody. I don't remember it. When we get to it, I'll let you know.
Did your dad get mad at you for the phone bill?
Yeah.
I remember I would be like, Dad, I want to call the WWF hotline so I can talk to Shawn Michaels. He's like, no, we're not fucking doing that. It costs too much damn money. Like, this is my thing is when they did this whole thing, it was over. And then it was Sting versus Ric Flair, the voting shit. And I'm like, what? With these lineups, like who's in each locker room? So, yeah, the babyface had Sting, Nasty Boys, Johnny B. Bad, Alex Wright, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Evad, and fucking Mr. JL.
Mm-hmm.
And then heels had Flair, Shark, Scott Norton, Blue Bloods, DP, Big Bubba Rogers, and am I missing somebody from the heel locker room?
I think you got them all.
Okay. Like, out of all those guys, you don't think most people are going to vote to see Sting versus Ric Flair?
Yeah, I think it was booked well.
It's like they weighed it.
Yeah.
You know, by who they picked. And that reminded me of like what WWE would do in those Taboo Tuesday things after a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do you want to see? And it was like fucking Shelton Benjamin and like, I don't know, Chris Masters and Carlito and fucking Santino and Shawn Michaels and Edge. Who do you think is going to win that? Shawn Michaels and Edge. God. Started stacking the deck.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really did this, you really wanted to change things up, you'd be like, who do you want to vote to see? I like Sting and Ric Flair and Hogan and the Giant and like you put all your main event guys in that.
Mm-hmm.
And what would happen there? You don't really know.
Yeah.
You mix a bunch of like mid card dudes and like people nobody gives a fuck about, and then you put like Ric Flair and Sting in there. Like, anyway, Sting versus Ric Flair.
this
What
this this match was entertaining as fuck.
it was good.
Um, Sting literally fucking goes off on Rick right away. He does the Stinger splash and all. He does his like typical Sting things he does, and then Ric Flair does the whole like when he gets Irish whipped into the turnbuckle, he like goes over it and like goes on the apron, and like Sting hits him with the clothesline. I was like, that's cool. And then obviously Flair starts to get some offense in and applies the figure four, which I always appreciate when wrestlers like Sting or veterans and stuff that like sell the figure four, because there's some like wrestlers in modern day that don't sell the figure four really well.
No, they don't really. They're just kind of in it, and they look like, this kind of hurts, and they're like more focused on trying to get out of it. And then
they do the flip.
It.
They do the flip like too quick, essentially.
They always do the roll. That's what bugs me about it too. Is everybody wants to do the rollover, and that's how they usually get out of it. Nobody tries to drag themselves, or like do something like get pissed off and do a sit up and punch the guy in the fucking face or something. Like it's always just roll over. It's like, come on, guys.
I do like when Sting does eventually power out of it. Flair like desperately does the eye rake, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I love the heel eye rakes."
Yeah, he did a real good one on him out on the floor. Like he eventually got out on the floor, and like Flair grabbed his face and was just like clawing his face. And he was like pushing him into like the corner of the railing out there.
What do you have to say about this match? Like what? Because those are the like my notes so far.
Sting and Flair really like doing those press slams together. It's like they did it 3 times in this match. Where, like Sting shoots Flair off, press slam. And then like there was a spot where like this opened Sting up to getting hurt because Sting was like no selling Flair a few times in this match. And this is a thing where like I think Sting no sold Flair a little too much. Like Sting's no selling's different from Hogan's usually because it's not always so predictable when it happens. It just happens out of nowhere usually. And usually more often than not, it's like in the early part of the match instead of way later after he gets his ass kicked. But it was kind of all through the match. There was different times where it happened.
I think that was more for the fans being like, he got revenge and essentially, and like
which he gets fucking revenge here.
The adrenaline is fucking kicking, and like whatever Flair does, like it doesn't affect him. But yeah, I get it. Like the no selling was a little too much, but I think he was just playing to the fans essentially.
That's what it was. Yeah, it's like a for my taste thing because it's like come on, but like there was like a spot where like Sting missed the Stinger splash out in the floor and he landed on the railing and that like fucked him up. And then Eric was like, "Oh, somebody should go check on Sting and see if he's hurt." And then Bobby's like, "Who cares?" Let's see. That spot I was talking about where Flair just shoved him in the corner, out gouging his eyes. Flair went to go like get a chair, and he like took a running start at Sting, like he was going to swing his fucking chair at him, like it's a SmackDown game. The referee grabbed the fucking chair from his grasp. They end up in the ring. I think Sting no sold Flair again, did more press slams off the shoot off thing. He throws Flair in the corner, beals him out, and then he throws Flair back into the corner. does a superplex. Then he puts the Scorpion Deathlock on, and Flair hangs on for a bit, but he submits.
Mm.
Pretty good match.
Yep. What'd you give it?
6.9.
Same. 6.9 out of 10.
Yeah.
It was like, it could have been better, but I still had a good time watching it because it's Sting and Ric Flair. So
yeah, I mean, like those guys don't really have a bad match ever.
Mhm.
So it's like it's either going to be like this could be pretty good, or it'll be like fucking great. Usually,
yeah. All right. Give me a few. I gotta use the bathroom real quick. So talk away.
all right. Well, after this match, Sting is like pretty much after the bell rang and Sting got the submission. He's not letting go of the Scorpion Deathlock. He won't release it. And then like referees come out and try to make him release it, and it doesn't work. So then a bunch of like baby faces come out and try to get him to quit too. And like nobody really can get him to let go except Hacksaw Jim Duggan, like prize staying off of Flair finally. And then as that's happening, like, and it's all broken up, Lex Luger comes out. And Eric said something like, Lex Luger's coming out, but they stopped him or something. Maybe Lex missed his cue or something. I don't know. It seemed like he was supposed to come out earlier, but he didn't. But he came out later. And just as Sting turns back around, like after he comes out, he goes back and he puts Ric Flair back in the Scorpion Deathlock. And they can't get him off at all this time. But when Lex gets in the ring, he like crouches down and says something to Sting in his face. And then like Sting lets go. And then Sting and Luger leave the ring together. And like Eric Bischoff's like, what does this mean? What is happening? Like he was just completely shocked. Like he didn't know what to do. There's the Sting aftermath there.
Oh yeah.
What'd you think about that?
I don't know what it's leading to.
Me either.
Because like he's holding him in a Scorpion Deathlock, he gets pulled out by the faces, and you're just like, all right, maybe Sting is finally come back. And it's so weird because like Bischoff kept on saying, here's Lex coming, but like the faces come out first, and I'm like, where's Lex?
I think he missed his cue or something.
Probably, yeah.
Because he came out later after he said that, like way later.
Mm-hmm. So Sting like goes up the ramp and then comes back and goes back into the the Scorpion Deathlock. And then Lex comes out and like looks at his face and says something, and they walk out together, and I'm just like, huh, okay, whatever. I don't know.
He's told me it was the total package. He's pissed now.
Yep.
So maybe I was like, I don't want to piss him off. Let go.
These t-shirts are too tight, Billy.
After another commercial break, we come back, and then Gene Okerlund's in the ring with the Giant and Taskmaster Jimmy Hart.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like another segment where they're kind of gloating, but also explaining how, like, what happened with the title and everything, why the Giant has the belt. And Jimmy tells us that while Hogan was out in Hollywood making bad movies that would hit the video stores before the theater, Jimmy had the power of attorney, and he makes the deals on all the match contracts. He really wants us to know that he has the power of attorney because he said it 3 times. Mm-hmm. He shows Gene the contract, though, and he says there's a clause that if Hogan got DQ'd, like if he DQ'd himself, he would lose the title.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they took it. But then Gene calls this guy, Dave Lambros, who's allegedly on the WCW Championship Committee. And he says he's been in communication with Nick Bockwinkel and the committee, and they say due to the dubious circumstances of the disqualification, the title's vacated. It's going to be up for grabs in World War III, the 60-man Battle Royal clusterfuck match that we got to watch it. The Giant's all mad, too. He's like, oh, no! He's like freaking
It's
out.
my title, and I can do whatever I want with it. And I was like, not really, but okay.
No, see, what's funny is Kevin Sullivan grabs the mic and he's like, Dave Lambros, Lamb Fat, whatever your name is.
Yeah.
Little Giant will win it back. And it's like, yeah, they gave him the belt back.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, okay, you guys, I guess the Taskmaster has a plan.
Yep. And then it ends with Uncle Eric saying, tune in next week to see Randy Savage face off against with Meng, Johnny B. Bad.
Eddie Guerrero versus Johnny B. Bad.
Yeah, for the television title.
And Sting versus Malenko.
Interesting. I'm actually happy for that.
I'm like, I was like, that looks like a pretty good Nitro card. If nothing stupid happens to any of these matches, that sounds solid. I thought this show started pretty weak, but it kind of shaped up to be kind of solid after like the first 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what's up with Lex and Sting.
Yep.
What the fuck was that Hogan segment? And then like the fan voting gimmick was like stupid. Yeah, I feel like they wasted a decent bit of airtime on it, but they probably got that hotline money.
Yep.
So like whatever, I guess it was worth it.
Would you give it?
6.
I gave it a 6.2 out of 10. I have similar thoughts about what you just said. But what I love what WCW Nitro does is it makes me want to watch next week's episode compared to, in my opinion, Raw at times.
They tend to try a little more, I think, to make you want to tune in next week.
Mm-hmm.
They try to set that up a little better, I think.
Yep.
Also, this got a 2.0 rating.
Ooh, went down.
It went down quite a bit.
Yeah. I wonder why.
I don't know. I mean, like, last week's Nitro wasn't as good.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still off of that, like, Halloween Havoc shit, which honestly wasn't a good pay-per-view either. Like, it wasn't as bad as In Your House was.
Mm-hmm.
But it still wasn't really all that good either.
Yeah.
Like, they took the belt off Hulk Hogan. Say what you want about Hulk Hogan, I guess. Is like, he's not the champion, and he's not showing up really doing anything right now.
Yeah. No star power, I guess.
No star power, brother.
All right. WWF Monday Night Raw, November 6th, 1995. We're still in fucking Brandon, Manitoba.
Get out of Canada.
Yeah. Our hosts are Vince McMahon and Doc Hendricks.
Oh, no. Doc's on commentary.
Yeah. Tonight, we have Bret Hart and Hakushi versus Isaac Yankem and Jerry Lawler, plus British Bulldog versus Marty Jannetty. So, kind of okay, cool card, I guess. Maybe, I don't know.
I thought it would be decent.
Yep. They showed the replay of Ahmed Johnson slamming Yokozuna, and after the ladder attacked Razor Ramon from behind, the hosts talk about Doc replacing Lawler, who's getting ready, which I enjoy, by the way, that Jerry Lawler is getting, ready for a match, so they pull him from commentating.
Doc Hendricks said he was back there getting his teeth cleaned by Isaac Yankem.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, I'll give you that one.
Mm-hmm. But we got our first match, British Bulldog with Jim Cornette versus Marty Jannetty, and I'll let you take away the play-by-play.
Okay, well, Marty whips Bulldog into the ropes, but Bulldog just shoulder blocks him because what did you think was going to happen?
Yep.
You whip Bulldog in the ropes like, we're going to do shoulder tackle, and you fucking lost. Bulldog throws Marty in the ropes, and he tries to do a press slam or something, and Marty just kind of jumps out of it. And he pokes Bulldog in the eye, which I thought was pretty good.
Mm.
But then he makes it better because the referee starts yelling at him. He's like, "What the fuck? You poking me down?" He's like, "No, it was my palm." And he just goes right back to fighting him. I was like, okay, that was good. Marty works Bulldog's arm for a bit, but Bulldog press slams him. It hits like a delayed suplex, and that pretty much stops Marty's momentum after those two moves. And then while this is going on in the match, like there's a side by side promo with Clarence Mason, like they do a split screen thing. And Clarence Mason says Mr. Cornette doesn't need to worry about anything legal regarding the British Bulldog. And he confirms that Bulldog will face the winner of Brett versus Diesel at Survivor Series. He's like, they fixed it.
Yep.
They fixed my problem.
And that's all they have to do in modern day wrestling too. Is like you don't need to have like a whole segment. Just have just like simple fix. There you go.
He literally said that shit during a match in a cutaway thing in like under 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to take fucking 15, 20 minutes to do a damn promo all the time. God. Yep. But Bulldog starts grounding Marty with chin locks, which is like, I guess something Bulldog's kind of known for is doing chin locks.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny.
He's like the Randy Orton of before Randy Orton.
I remember when everybody used to give Randy shit for doing chin locks.
He's a heel. He's supposed to do that.
Yeah, it's like, I don't like. It's not that big a deal to me. I don't know.
And you got to think about this, right? Marty's fast. How do you slow someone down? You put him in chokehold.
Yep. But he occasionally pummels him with some offenses. He's like trying to get out of his chin locks and shit. Marty does get out. He goes for a crucifix. But Bulldog kicks out. And he fucking turns him inside out with a clothesline like Marty did a flip.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. And he just keeps breaking him down. Keeps going. We go to a break. Bulldog has him in a headlock after that, but Marty gets out and he tries to do something. He shoots Bulldog in the ropes, but they both just collide because Marty's too tired to fucking do anything because he's been choked for like fucking 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Bulldog doesn't really get affected by that. He tries to pin him, but he kicks out and then throws Marty out of the ring. Cornette starts kicking him in the ribs and shit, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Marty does a sunset flip when he's on the apron. He like Bulldog's trying to do something. He says, "No, sunset flip." And they do the thing where like he can't get him over, and Bulldog's like, he finally gets him over.
Mm-hmm.
But he kicks out. Marty fires back up again, breaking out of a headlock. He throws Bulldog in the corner. He runs and jumps at him. Bulldog dodges. He ends up upside down in the corner, which I thought was kind of cool. And Bulldog just starts stomping him. Chin locks. Punches. Marty gets out of it, though, and then he does like a blockbuster kind of move out of the corner, which is like cool. You don't really see that in 95.
Mm-hmm.
He starts doing a comeback. Flying reverse elbow thing. Face buster off of a fucking backdrop counter, you know. He goes for a top rope fist drop. But Bulldog stands up when he jumps. And then Marty's like, fuck. And he just DDTs him after he lands on his feet. He gets a 2. I was like, oh, okay, that was cool. And then he throws Bulldog in the corner again and charges him, but he misses. He like hits the post. And then Bulldog power slams him for 3.
It's cool because like when you look at Bulldog compared to Marty, like Marty has such a arsenal of wrestling moves that he could take down Bulldog at certain times, and plus he's a veteran, so that's another thing.
Bulldog's just as much of a veteran as him.
Yep, and that's how he gets the clean victory with that fucking power slam. And
he's just too fast and too strong.
Mm-hmm. So what'd you give this match?
I gave it a 6.9.
Okay. You were a little more generous. I gave it a 6.7. We're still in the ballpark, but
it's that Bulldog curve.
I
don't care if he does a chin lock or not.
Short hair Bulldog for the win.
Yeah, you're still putting him over right now as like a heel.
Mm-hmm. It cuts to this like Bill Clinton impersonator talking about WWF, and I kind of like zoned out. I was like, okay, like Vince has this thing where he has to put like Bill Clinton everywhere, and I'm just like so fucking annoying. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna move on from this.
They just did that. Like, was it at WrestleMania 10 or 11 where
Yeah,
they got
it
a
was.
Bill Clinton impersonator?
Mm-hmm. And he was like in the crowd. They're like, Bill Clinton's here. Like, okay,
I think it was 10. I don't think it was 11. But like, they're doing the impersonator thing again. Can't you just wait till the next president to do that? Okay.
Yep.
We get back to the show after that, and like Doc's interviewing Cornette and Bulldog post match. And Cornette's like disparaging Gorilla Monsoon in the wild card match. And he says, Shawn Michaels, if you double cross Bulldog, he's going to make Syracuse look like a walk in the park. I thought that was funny. And Bulldog says, as everyone can see, he's barely broken a sweat after that match with Marty. And it's like, if you look at him, it's actually true. He's not really like that sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to fulfill his dream and Mr. Cornette's dream in Your House after Survivor Series. That's it. He flexes.
Yep. We go to backstage and see Barry Horowitz act as a translator between fucking Bret Hart and Hakushi, and I was like, "This is so like it's so funny."
He has to translate Canadian to Japanese.
Yep.
Because Bret's like, "We're going to be number one, Ichiban." It's like literally what he says. Hakushi's like, "What?"
And we see a clip from Superstars where Bam Bam Bigelow interrupts Goldust interview to challenge him to a match. This leads to these two now having a match at Survivor Series, and I'm like, okay, Bam Bam and Goldust.
Yeah,
okay.
maybe that'll do it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll put him over.
The best part of that little promo, I don't know what they didn't show what Goldust was saying before it, but after Bam Bam challenges him, I'll fight you anywhere, anytime. He sounds like a Sopranos guy.
Mm-hmm.
Goldust very calmly quotes Ben-Hur. He's like, I can see hate in your eyes. That's good. Hate saves a man. And he accepts it. He accepts his challenge.
Yeah, he says like Ben-Hur 1945 or whatever year it was.
He quoted, he's like Ben-Hur, and then he gave it the year. I don't remember what year Ben-Hur came out. And then exit, please. And
yeah. Then we go to Henry O. Godwin versus Terry Richards.
Or Rhino.
Yep.
You can't see that guy and not know who he is, even if he doesn't have the goatee and the Rhino gear.
Mm-hmm.
He's the same guy.
Yeah.
We see little glimpses of Rhino, like you see how fast and strong he is.
Mm-hmm.
But his job here is the job.
Yep.
And he can't do no good against Hog. He's just too powerful. He beats the crap out of him. He does the apron leg drop that Undertaker borrowed from him and slop drop. I like that he yelled "Suey" before he did the slop drop. That was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Squash.
And then Hunter comes out and pours slop on him.
He pedigreed him on the floor before that.
Yeah.
So he knocked his ass out. And then he poured slop. What was funny, though, is he had these little white gloves he put on before he handled the bucket. He was like, put these little silk gloves on, and he like very daintily picked the bucket up and was like, and then he did his little bow.
Yep.
You know what's funny to me, though, is Hunter just saved some poor jobber from being embarrassed.
Yeah.
He saved him from being slopped. What a nice guy.
Survivor Series Slam Jam with Todd Pettingzoo, since Doc is the commentator. He talks about Mabel challenging Undertaker on Mania this week. And now we get an elimination match. The Undertaker's team of the Dark Side will include Fatu, Sabio Vega, and Godwin against the Royals, as Mabel will have Lawler, Yankum, and Helmsley. And we get another promo with Paul Bearer and Undertaker and stuff. And this is where Undertaker has the mask, right?
He comes back with that Phantom of the Opera mask because his orbital bone's still healing.
Yeah. I do like that his face is not shown, and I was like, that's cool. Then we hear from Diesel, who says like some. I didn't like his promo. It's just.
I thought his promo was better than what it has been here.
Yeah, but it's still like lame. He's a trucker, man. Like
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like it's still like not that good, but like it's better than what he's been doing, and I feel like it's because they didn't let him talk too long.
Yeah.
Like I liked Undertaker's promo better because of how ridiculous it is, and Paul Bearer is there. And then if you look at the subtext of this promo, Undertaker says, "No royals will survive my wrath." So like we know Undertaker is anti-monarchist now.
Yep.
He's going to kill all the upper class people like Jerry Lawler and Hunter Hearst Helmsley and like a fucking dentist.
Mm.
So he's like, I guess, proletariat or something. But like the thing with Diesel though is like he doesn't really say that much. He keeps it short and sweet. And he's like, it's man to man for the third time, and I don't like your odds, Hitman. He just does like these kind of like lackadaisical. His tone's like kind of lackadaisical right now, you know.
It's like it's winding down that it, like eventually he's gonna get out at some point.
I don't know. Yeah, like if I'm being honest, I think it's just Kevin Nash is frustrated by these promos that he's forced to do because later, like I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but like after he loses that Survivor Series, I'll spoil it. I don't know. The following Raw, he cuts like kind of a work shoot promo a little bit. It feels like, and he talks about how he gets sabotaged by the company and made to look like a fucking idiot, and that's like when he starts kind of coming back a little bit. He becomes tweener Diesel.
I think he's better off being a tweener, in my opinion.
That or a heel. I mean,
yeah.
You know, I mean Nash. I think Nash. He could have been a cool babyface, but fucking champion probably. It's just they didn't do it right. Like, did you see the video I sent in the chat of like that little promo thing of like Diesel doing like signing autographs?
No, I gotta check it out though.
Well, I'll describe it real quick. So it starts off like some mafia boss is hiring a hitman to take care of somebody. It's really funny that he does with Diesel though, not Bret Hart. The guy called Hitman. But he's like, he tries to give Diesel money for this, and Diesel goes like, I don't want your money. It's personal. And it just shows Diesel's face, and he's got his sunglasses on. And he gets in like an elevator and goes up somewhere, and then it's revealed that he went somewhere to sign autographs for kids. But that's not it. When he's signing the autographs, this little kid tries to give him money for the autograph, you know, because usually you got to pay for an autograph photo or something. And Diesel goes, I don't want your money. This is good enough. And he does like a smile. And then I'm like, see, this make Diesel look like a fucking diabetes to him or some shit. He's like that's not why Diesel got over.
It's like he's an impersonator of like Diesel, essentially.
This is the Vince thing where the babyface has to smile and be really smile. Fuck. He did it to Roman too.
Yep.
Made him say corny shit like Diesel did. All this shit sounds really familiar when you lay it out.
Sucker and succotash. Remember when Roman Reigns said that?
God damn. You get flashbacks.
Yep.
We got Kama with Ted DiBiase versus Tony Roy. And this was a match to make a segment where Vince McMahon could talk to Shawn Michaels on the phone because he really likes talking to Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
So is Doc Hendricks, but he didn't get to talk to him. He was mad about that.
I got a little annoyed at like Shawn Michaels because he kept on saying he's always disoriented.
Yeah, he's all at this time. He is always disoriented because he's on fucking somas and shit.
Yeah,
He's Soma Michaels right now.
yeah, he's like perk boy toy.
Boy toy.
But it's just I don't know. And the picture that they used for Shawn Michaels was weird too.
It's just a Shawn Michaels promo picture. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They also Barry Dudzinski tried to sell us the Pogs. That's what we were talking about earlier. He poured like a whole bag of Pogs on the mat. That was here. But yeah, like Shawn's like saying he started coming back to work and he worked a match somewhere recently on the road, I think. And he's like, "Oh, there's still some cobwebs there, but they've always been there, you know." Vince says, "You look a bit disoriented back in the locker room that night." And Shawn's like, "Oh, that's probably going to go away with time." And I'm like, they're setting it up right here. The concussion angle. I had to find out why they did this too, because it's like they did. I know they did the concussion angle and Shawn Michaels went away again, but I never knew why. Because it's like, yeah, he got beat up and fucked up from the Syracuse thing, but I couldn't find a real concrete answer why they did this. They just said Shawn Michaels returned too early from injury, so they did that angle. So I don't know. Anyway, Vince asked him about Survivor Series and the wild card match, and Shawn says maybe he'll get beat up again by like 9 guys because a lot of people in this match don't like him.
Yep.
And he's not sure who's going to win the world title match, but he believes it will be a fight. And spoiler alerts, he's right.
The common match was a squash.
He beat Tony Roy.
Yep.
He squished him.
Yep. We get a video package to hype next week's Razor Ramon versus Psycho Sid Intercontinental title match, which is interesting. I'm actually interested in a Razor Ramon versus Psycho Sid. Have we ever gotten to see that type of match yet?
If Sid and Razor had a match, we didn't see it.
Okay.
It was probably on TV somewhere.
Cool. And the 1, 2, 3 Kid is the special guest referee, which I kind of spoiled it a little bit back in the last episodes where I said Psycho Sid and 1, 2, 3 Kid become a tag team. So I guess this is where the fucking backstab probably happens.
This is where it happens. I remember this. I would have spoiled it by memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, he Kid screws Razor in this match. So I guess Sid's the IC champion, which I forgot. I forgot he was IC champion.
Jerry Lawler and Isaac Yankem make their way to the ring. A karate fighters match between the Smoking Guns take place. Billy wins with the Thunderfoot. Bart wants a rematch. Billy yells, "Yeehaw!" And then they go at it again. And then it goes to the match.
There's like some Goldust fans out there heckling Lawler, which I thought was weird and funny.
Yep.
He's like getting mad at him. You'd think because I'm such a Bret Hart fan, I would have a lot to say about this match, but I actually don't. But it's kind of because it's a tag match, really. And it involves guys, it's like, Isaac Yankem's not there yet, really, Like, he's okay worker, but like he's not like, where he is when he's Kane.
And Lawler's mullet is insane.
I forgot he had this insane mullet right now. And Jerry Lawler is like, I like him a lot, but it's like Jerry doesn't do like a lot of complicated shit, That's not his thing, really. His thing's like selling or like doing a spot where he takes some kind of crazy bump or something. And Hakushi has his things he does, but he actually spent most of his time getting his ass kicked.
Yep.
That's what Hakushi was there for.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously you're not gonna have Bret Hart get his ass kicked, right?
That would be like retarded.
Yeah.
That would be like booking Sabu to like maybe put somebody through a table, or like you don't. Like, you're gonna set all this shit up and then you're gonna hit the table and you're gonna look stupid. What? But like Brett starts the match with Yankum, but he like works his arm a little bit, and then Yankum shoots Brett off and he tries to give him a bear hug, but then Brett bites his face and gets out of it. And he arm drags Yankum and he tags Hakushi, who hits like a diving headbutt from the top rope. And then Hakushi does the handspring corner elbow, the Muda shit. And he whips Yankum in the corner and he distracts Lawler while Brett punches the hell out of Yankum. So he's kind of cheating a little bit here. That's fine though, because Bret Hart hates Jerry Lawler. And he hates this fucking dentist guy. So it's fine. But they're building this up that Brett's mad and he's gonna like take it out on Diesel in Survivor Series. After Brett hits some of his offense, he tags Hakushi back in and he goes for like another handspring corner Muda thing. But then Yankum just clotheslined him in the back of the head and mid flip. That looked cool. And then after that, the heels just control the match. Like Lawler is like distracting the referee a lot so they can fuck Hakushi up, and he hits 2 pile drivers on him, which I marked out for. And they did a lot of agony and heat stuff until Hakushi was finally able to get Brett back in the match. And he does like his stuff. Bulldog, Russian leg sweep, elbow drop from the rope. And then Brett gets the sharpshooter on Yankum, and then Lawler starts freaking out, like, oh, what the fuck? And he goes out on the floor and he gets like one of those plastic chairs, those hard plastic chairs that are like,
it's not a foldable. It's like,
it's just a solid chair.
Yeah.
And like, which is like funny that that's out there. And he's gonna like hit Brett in the back of the head with it, but Barry Horowitz stops him. He grabs it from him, and then Tim White is like, "Hey!" And he disqualifies Brett and Hakushi. And then like Brett's like, "What the fuck? No, he grabbed it." And then like Barry's like yelling at the referee, and Lawler's like leaving, and he's laughing and shit, which I thought was funny.
It annoys me a little bit, even though I know I should like just go with the flow and stuff for entertainment wise. But like, he didn't do anything with it. He just like took it.
So a lot of people don't know this, but like the real wrestling rules are, if you see somebody come in the ring with the intent to like stop the match or something, or like they're gonna hit somebody with something, you disqualify them. It's just that the rules degenerated to a point to where like they don't disqualify somebody until they actually touch them.
Yeah.
And then if it's AEW, sometimes that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So like, but that's the actual wrestling rules. It's just like the tag rope thing. That's like another thing that's just gone. Or like the back slap tag. That's like another one that's like, that's not really how you tag the guy, but like everybody does it now.
What'd you think of this match? Would you rate it?
I had fun with it. Like it was cool when Brett was able to do stuff in the ring, and then Lawler was entertaining. Is him healing it up with Yankum was like funny.
Oh, is this his match finally in Canada, by the way? He actually had a match?
Bret Hart had a match on Canadian television. It only took like a few weeks. Like I guess they're on a Canadian tour, and like Bret is never on TV. I don't understand that.
That boggles my mind.
I gave it a 6.9 though. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I gave it a 6.3.
It's fun. You hate dentists and you hate Japanese people. It's fine.
Yeah. I think solid show. it was very entertaining. British Bulldog versus Marty Jannetty was actually a pretty cool fucking match.
Yeah, I
Uh,
thought it would be.
yeah. And then we got a couple of squash matches and stuff to kind of like build the story around like HBK, and like also tell about the card for the Survivor Series. Uh, Hunter fucking slopping hog, which is funny. I thought it was funny. And then obviously having Bret Hart, get mad at a fucking Burger King and a dentist, essentially, so he could take his real anger on the fucking trucker.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
It's just, oh yeah. Next week they tell us Hunter's gonna face Hog,
Mm.
and then Vince. They show a replay of the slopping, and then Vince makes this hilarious noise when he gets slopped. He goes, "What the fuck was that?" But they're also gonna have an interview with Bret Hart and Diesel together.
Yep.
I guess they're gonna be in the ring or something. And
Mm.
then Ahmed Johnson's going to have his debut match on Raw.
Nice.
So we're going to see him almost kill somebody, probably. Or almost kill himself. One of the two. The dude tried so damn hard. I thought it was a pretty good show, but I felt like the pacing of it was like almost breakneck speed. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
It was like stuff kept transitioning into the next thing like really fast in this show. It's like it almost wouldn't let up, which I guess if you're watching TV, that's cool because then that means like you don't want to like just not watch it.
And it's also a different pace compared to like other Raws, because Raws like to slow it down and like tell you a story sometimes, and also like to do technical wrestling because you have fucking Bret Hart and everybody.
Yeah.
But this one was like almost like a train, not a train wreck, but like
A runaway train.
a runaway train, essentially. Yep.
It was never a dull moment. So like that, I noticed that. It was like, oh, the pacing of this show was fast because it was getting to a point where like it was hard for me to continuously type my notes while the show was playing. I was like, oh shit, I gotta stop this. Too much stuff's happening.
Yeah. So, what did you rate this whole show?
I gave it a 6.7.
I gave it a 6.8 out of 10.
Oh, we were right there.
Mm-hmm. I guess this is where we're going to our word journal stuff for the October month, right? Is this?
Yeah, I was gonna do that in the middle, but you like transitioned right into the first week of November. I was like, oh, that's fine.
No.
we'll do it after.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Oh yeah, the rating for the show was 2.6.
Oh shit.
So they went up quite a bit.
The Bret Hart bump.
Maybe I can keep that guy off TV all the time. Then when he shows up, it's like, oh, the rating went up. Hell, but they've not had a lot of their stars on TV. Like Shawn's not been there. Undertaker's face is broken. Bret was in like fucking Yukon territory. I don't know.
This is what they should have used Bret more since those guys went down. I don't understand why Vince didn't do it.
I guess they kind of did in their weird way. It's just that they didn't do it good. Like, because he has been back on TV recently, but it's like he had a cage match with Isaac Yankem, and it was what it was. And the pay-per-view thing was odd. He should have had a match on that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
To come up with something. He had a dark match. He didn't have a match televised on it. But I guess Vince is like, God damn it, I need to use Bret again. Fuck.
I think overall, WCW edges WWF because, and again, it's because injury and stuff, and incidents with HBK. But the two pay-per-views, I actually had a fun time with WCW Halloween Havoc over In Your House 4, essentially.
it was a bit more enjoyable because of like mostly because of just the crazy shit that was happening, like the monster truck bullshit, and the matches were better on that show overall.
And the
Not by like
commentary is better on WCW, in my opinion.
it depends, I think. Yeah, I mean, like yeah, when it's so on that show, it's a 2-man booth when it's just Heenan and fucking Shivani, or I guess I guess that's their pay per view commentary team. Instead of the 3-man booth with Mongo.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little more cohesive when it's just the two guys.
Yeah.
Vince and Lawler is like, it's still like, I think it's getting better, but like, it's still not JR and Lawler, you know? It's not that yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it never does get to that point with Vince on the commentary desk, really. So I did this thing last time where I like compared their TV ratings, and like I did averages of like my personal ratings for each show and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed like the attendance for like the pay per view and what I rated it and shit. Uh, so like all through October, Nitro and Raw kind of had like pretty competitive numbers. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't really completely destroy each other like and own the month. It was like they took turns really.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning of the month, they were pretty much tied. They got like 2.5, 2.5, 2.6, 2.6, 2.6, and then 2.2. It's like, oh, somebody dropped. It was Nitro that dropped that third week.
Mm-hmm.
And then WWF dropped. They dropped to 2.2 and 2.1. While Nitro was like 2.6, 2.3. So they kind of edged them out, but it wasn't like they were like really far off ever.
Yeah.
And then like as for like, okay, my personal rating for the TV for WCW that whole month was like 5.7 averaged.
Mm-hmm.
For WWF, it was 5.9. So it edged the TV quality to me edged out more, I think, with Raw. But like there was that one Raw that wasn't that good. Remember the Battle Royal and like the women's match at the end of the show?
Yeah.
That was like a kind of a dull Raw, but it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like awful. You know, we've seen worse shows than that.
Yeah.
But that one Nitro where they fucked up the cage match and shit scored lower.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Like that got I give that a 4.6. That Raw, the boring Raw, I gave a 4.9.
Mm-hmm.
So the Halloween Havoc, that was at Detroit, and we said the buy rate was 120,000, and the attendance was like 13,000 out of like a 20,000 plus building. Gave that a 5.9. The In Your House 4 in Winnipeg, I gave that a 4.7. The buy rate was 90,000, and the attendance was like 10,339 out of 15,000 plus.
Mm-hmm.
So they both like filled 2/3 of a building, kind of. Or well, no, no. WWF got 3/4 of that building,
Mm-hmm.
almost. So I don't know. Honestly, I think both companies' TV this month was like not so great sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and the pay per views to me weren't that good either. Even though we said Halloween Havoc was more enjoyable,
Yeah.
I felt like October was just a rough month overall. We had some good matches sometimes, but like on the whole, I don't know that it was that good for either company.
I just think it edges out with all the entertainment that WCW like throws at you as far as a like quality TV show, essentially.
Like a Yeti exploding out of a plastic iceberg.
Besides that,
Just-
it's funny, but it's like the Taskmaster and like the fucking monster truck, and then like Hulk Hogan killing the giant, but then he shows up in the main event. Like it's stupid, but it's like entertaining as fuck.
that is, see, the Dungeon of Doom shit is such a mixed bag because, like, on one hand, the stuff the Dungeon of Doom does themselves is so ridiculous and over the top that it's like kind of entertaining, even if it's like objectively not good.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side of that, the other side of that coin is Hogan's end of it. And all this promos and stuff Hogan does are like not good right now, and they're weird as fuck and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't change. Like, even though I said there was that one promo where it was actually different, and then he reverted back to his old self. It's like,
Yep.
damn it. And then, like, I don't know. So, like, to me, the WCW end of things, it's like, okay, they're rebooting the Four Horsemen. They're doing something with Lex Luger and Sting. What that is, I don't remember. I actually don't remember what the deal is with that.
Mm.
But outside of those, that and the Dungeon of Doom, the top of the card thing, it's kind of hard to tell what else is going on in WCW right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like in their mid card, they don't really have a lot of direction for like anything. And like Sting's still the U.S. champion, right?
Yeah.
I forgot. And they don't really bring it up that much.
And he doesn't wear the belt that often.
He didn't come out with the belt on Nitro when he had the match with Flair.
Yeah.
And like the other times, he didn't have it. And then there's like, it doesn't really feel like there's much going on with the tag division, even though they got teams. It just doesn't feel like there's anything going on.
Mm-hmm.
They made Johnny B. Bad TV champion, which I think is good.
Yeah.
But like outside of that, I don't know. It looks really unknown. It's like they're trying to build that cruiserweight division. That's kind of it. And Dark Side Hogan is continuing for I don't know how long. There's still no build for World War III either. Like, they haven't really. They just said there's a 60-man battle royal, and like that's all we know.
Oh, we got like 3 more Nitros to go to, so or 2. I'm sorry.
Better make it snappy.
Yep.
I mean, I get that match is probably going to take up a lot of the time on the show.
Oh my god, I'm dreading seeing that.
Unless they do this shit where they throw a bunch of people out really fast. Like, I don't know, because they all start in the ring, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those, which is like not as good. So it has to be what happens is a bunch of guys get eliminated really quick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's how I feel about the WCW side of things. On the WWF side of things, it's like they had a bad pay-per-view and Vince had his fucking conniption fit. And he's going to switch the belt off Diesel. We know that. He's building to that right now.
Mm.
And Brett's getting warmed back up after he got fucking exiled for some reason. And like, aside from that, he's been pushing Gold Dust pretty hard. This is like his new character gimmick he really wants to work. So far, it hasn't hit quite right, but we know it will.
Yeah.
Razor Ramon's IC champion again after some shenanigans, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And then there's this thing with 1-2-3 Kid and his heel turn. You know, it's weird the way they're doing it, but it seems like they've kind of course corrected it. Undertaker's face is destroyed, but he's coming back soon. And Bulldog is being kept strong right now, and you're pushing him as a main event heel. That's good.
Mm-hmm. It just feels like everything in WWF side is on standby.
It got fucked up by injuries and bad booking that Vince didn't realize was bad until it was too late.
Yep.
Sean's coming back soon. Vince is pushing Ahmed Johnson. And to me, it seems like on the WWF side, they're doing better about positioning people and setting matches up.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's mid-card stuff going on. He's trying to push different people that aren't even main event right now.
Yeah.
So, and they're building Survivor Series pretty good. So I don't know. But like I kind of looked at this and I'm like, I don't really want to give anybody the win for October. I want to say they tied.
Yeah, the more we discuss it, I think October is a draw.
Because it wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
Like they both did bad shit. It like it just is just different the way it was bad.
Mm-hmm. I think when we get into 96, things start to like go into hyperdrive essentially.
Well, that's also when the shows start getting longer.
Yep.
I noticed that. Like both in January, both shows start being 2 hours.
Mm.
So yeah, instead of like the 45 minutes or hour and 30 minutes, whatever, getting technical.
Yeah.
But yeah, no winner from me for 95. But you want to give WCW the win?
No, I changed my mind because like the more we talked about it, I'm like, yeah, they're kind of positioning Survivor Series better than World War III, and I agree with you. But I still think WCW is a little more entertaining than WWF right now.
It kind
But
of is. Like for the gimmicks and like the segments, the crazy segments and shit, the promos,
mm,
those are usually more interesting, even if they're bad.
yeah,
WWF's just in a weird funk with that right now.
mm,
But they're better about setting things up and getting it ready.
yeah. So I'm going with a draw.
They drew in 1995 of October. It was a draw. Nobody won that battle.
Yep. But next time we do get in some color, it's going to be WCW Nitro and Raw November 13th, and then we're doing Survivor Series November 19th.
Who doggy?
Yep. So if you want to catch more, get in some color, make sure you follow us on YouTube on Big Trouble Media. Make sure you like and subscribe, and also give us a comment. Tell us what you thought about October 1995 with WCW and WWF. What did you like more, or do you agree with us? Do you think it's a draw? But until next time, everybody, and next time we talk, we'll know who won the Elimination Chamber in WWE. Maybe I might say something because I'm watching that pay-per-view tomorrow or today. By the time it's like 1:21 a.m. But until next time, everybody, remember to get some color.